Well, good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Let's get our heads right on today, Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. Great to be here with you on a very wet morning. It's been the case the last few days, certainly. It was very, very slick this morning, so I hydroplaned 3 or 4 times, and I was going like 50 miles an hour. Be careful out there. Be careful. Want you alive, better than dead. That's absolutely the case. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Yes, better than dead.
Better than dead. Absolutely. Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor and almost news anchor last night.
Yeah.
Good morning.
It's a weird night last night. First of all, you're absolutely right. Be careful out on the roadways. Hydroplaning. A word sounds like it's fun.
It's not. Yeah.
fun.
It's like, let's go hydroplaning.
Hydroplaning. That's
You
going
guys
to be
down
fun.
to hydroplane this weekend?
Really not that much fun.
Not at all.
And shout out last night on my way home from Channel 10 to the L.A. limousine bus going 90 on my left. It nearly ran me off the road. Appreciate that.
Shout out L.A. Limousine. Well done, guys.
But, be careful out on the roadways today. I guess you could call me like the vice president of the news anchoring. If anything happened to the news anchor,
Yes.
then I had to be ready to step in. So I sat on the anchor desk all evening from 5 to 7:30. So from the start of the 5 o'clock show through the end of our 7 o'clock news at 7:30 with Wale, our anchor, out in the field, out in the rain, in the tough conditions. You never know if the feed might break down for some reason. It goes down. Someone needs to be sitting there to take over the newscast. So
Bullpen.
that is, for the time being, my 5 to 7:30 responsibility is to sit and be ready just in case.
So you, that's going to be for a while? Because
when he's out in the field and we're trying to do more anchoring out in the field. So I get to just sit and I can work on my laptop in the studio.
Take selfies and stuff.
Yeah, I took a selfie last night. You can see Wale on by the pier, making sure it doesn't fall into the ocean or something, doing the real work while I do no work and just sit there
And just wait.
Just wait,
Just in case.
Just wait, just in case. I could do this show this way too. You guys. You do the show, and if
then
something happened to you, if your microphones stopped working,
Or I could be like,
I could jump right in and start doing the show.
or be like, Paulie, it was a great night last night. There was really nothing on, so I flipped on randomly the Clippers game, but I didn't see the end. I have no idea who won.
Oh, all right. It's Ben Higgins here, Paul and Woods.
Go back to the studio.
Back to the studio.
And you know what? You were just talking about the Clippers. I think they did win that game last night over the Atlanta Hawks, 149-144. Kawhi Leonard, 36 big points as the Clippers have won 26 of their last 31 games. One of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the entire NBA. Now, back to Woods and Paul.
Yeah, so anyway, Paulie, I'm glad. Thank you, Ben, for that update, and we'll be back with you when we need some basketball information. That actually could work pretty good. Might be a little boring for you. It's a little early to get up to have to come in and do that, honestly. But, look at him. He's sitting back.
Wow.
I want to talk about your selfie, though, that you took in the studio. And I saw that you tweeted it, and I saw that you posted it to your the shock and not horror, but the shock and awe I felt when I was on Instagram and I saw the little circle at the top with Ben's smiling face on it, a story, and I went,
oh no, he got hacked.
Oh God, oh no, yeah. There's going to be some selling Ray-Bans or something, some sort of shoes, and
Cheech and Chong gummies.
and I go, oh crap. I thought the same thing. I thought he got hacked, and then I click on it, and there's his smiling face, and I went, well, look at this guy out here posting selfies to his story.
Apparently, I had a little extra time on my hands to finally figure out how to tag myself with a location and add some labels in the background, all those fancy things that I don't have to do when I post a photo on Twitter. Now, I posted X/Twitter photos quite, often, but I just never kind of got into the whole Instagram story thing.
Instagram was launched in 2010.
Yeah, it is 2024.
The story feature is much newer. It's maybe 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
tops,
I don't know about
right?
that, pal. I don't know about that. I got stories from a long time ago. Yeah. Just a shade under a decade it took you to learn how to post one story of one picture. Now listen, I'll give you a little break here. The reels and stuff, I did a reel, it took me about a month, and it was terrible. I had repeating pictures in it. That was very difficult. This is why Paulie is invaluable to us. Invaluable, because if it were just you and me, I'd be running 99.9%. if it was just me and him, I'd be like, I'm so glad you learned how to do stories now, because now you can post one to Ben and Woods. But no, you look good in your story, and I'm glad that you do it. Post more of them.
Paul says I'm like the people in those Progressive Insurance.
Yeah.
You're turning into your parents commercials.
I think even my parents know how to post stories.
Okay, sliding into the DMs. That looks like fun. You're not ready for that.
You're not ready.
You're not
yet.
ready for that.
So their
Yeah.
newest commercial with LL Cool J in it, and the guy's like trying to take a selfie. He's like, "All right, so
Three, two.
No.
No
countdown.
No, there's no countdown
No
anymore.
countdown.
It's incredible. Just incredible. Yeah, I often, this job these days is so much more than just getting on and shooting the breeze and talking about sports or whatever. You do have to be very active on social media. You have to have, a show Twitter, a show Instagram. You have to have your personal Instagram, your personal Twitter. It's a lot. It's a lot to manage on a daily basis, to be sure. And, new platforms arise, and I go, like we have a TikTok. I don't think we've posted anything to it in over a year, as far as I know.
Yeah, as far as you know.
As far as I know. Have you?
Yeah, I post every reel that goes up on our Instagram or Twitter. Goes out on
I have no idea.
all the press conferences every week.
I have no idea. I had no idea. Those were on TikTok.
You need a Paul to be able to manage every single feed that's out
That's
there.
exactly right, man.
It's even, I'm not going to act like I'm a social media guru or anything
I'm
like
a guru.
that. But
Get a guru.
it is tough. I mean, at least Instagram and TikTok, the dimensions are about the same with the videos. But then you're like, okay, well, do we want to make this a YouTube video? Then it needs to be horizontal. Do we want to put it on Twitter? How do we want it to look?
I like Sammy. Sammy has mastered the art of TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I like his TikToks. I have ideas for TikToks, but I don't want to execute them. I would need you because I have an idea of like, all right, because Sammy does, here's the day in the life of a MLB broadcaster or a, pre and post game host. I would love to do morning show. Like, this is this is what it looks like to host a morning show. But I can't. You want to meet me at my house at 4:30 tomorrow morning, come over and shoot this TikTok of me? I don't think so. And I'm certainly not about to figure it out on my own. It'd take me a month. So I'm no better. But I do know how to do stories, and I'm glad you do too.
Maybe this is a homework assignment for all of us, and by all of us, I mean you and me.
Yeah.
You can still take the videos and then send them to me, and I can put them together.
Paste them? Okay. All right, maybe we'll do that. I'll do a day in the life of a morning show host.
voiceover.
Yeah. Be great.
I'm a morning radio
Can I
host.
say
Not just a day in the life of a morning show host.
the number 16.
The number 16
in the country.
ranked morning show
That's
host. You know I love my rankings.
You love rankings.
We did crack the top 25.
Aztecs back in the top 25 at number 24, but that slides in 8 slots below.
That's right.
Ben and Woods, yours truly, our show was ranked number 16th in the country for major market morning shows this morning by Barrett Sports Media. So congratulations to you guys and all of us for cracking. This is our highest ranking ever, correct?
It is.
Yeah.
Obviously, the number one morning show in a major market is going to be out of New York. It's Boomer and Geo.
Well, I'm promoting Boomer every day on
Every
our
day.
show, so obviously they're going to be number one.
Then you got DC. Then you got Chicago. Then you got Boston. Then you got Dallas. Then you got Dallas. Then you got Boston again. You got Philly. You got Minneapolis, Detroit, San Francisco, New York again, Chicago again, Seattle, Denver, and then lowly old Ben and Woods from San Diego, California.
I didn't hear any Los Angeleses.
I didn't hear any Los
ahead
Angeles
of Ben and
either.
Woods here in San Diego in the top 20.
No, there aren't any
Who
in the
does
top 20.
local LA morning radio?
No idea.
I have no idea, man. But all I know is
I know a lot of national shows run out of LA, but that's not what this is.
it's a very, very, very prestigious honor, as far as you know, the listener. It's very prestigious.
I just like rankings. You
I know.
I
I
just
do
love
too.
rankings.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to tell you I didn't get a little jolt this morning when I saw that. It makes me feel good. We've put a lot of work into this show. Our tier ones are the best in the business, and
We've been on this list before. That's the highest we've been.
that's right,
I thought
16.
That was really
Sweet
cool.
16. Yeah,
Sweet 16.
that's exactly right.
Sailor Liver says we'd be top 10 if we played more Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I tweeted last night I'd like to do a show of nothing but Johnny Hamcheck audio and Roll Tide Willie audio. I do 4 hours of two of my favorite things that delight me on the internet these days. Before we go to break, I want to take this moment, if you guys don't mind, to wish my little guy, Bo Woods, a very happy 6th birthday. I love him, obviously, more than anything in the world. And he has been, this is the 6th birthday we've had. Like, we started the show right when he was a baby. And so he's grown up.
Like 6 weeks old.
Yeah, he's grown up with this show. And I've grown up with this show. And I've grown up being his dad. And he is the most special, beautiful, sweet, sassy, foul-mouthed little turd in the world. And I love him. He's changed my life forever. I know he's up right now because he gets up early, and I know he's listening. So, Bobo, I'm very proud of you. I love you so much, and can't wait to hang out with you today. I'm picking him up early from school, little Jersey Mike's action, and then tonight, Benihana, 4:30 reservation.
Oh.
That's how we do it at my house. 4:30 reservation at Benihana.
Is he going with you, or did you get a sitter?
No, I'm going by myself. Just me. Hannah's not coming. Nobody's coming. But that kid is so cool.
The post you sent yesterday from the day he was born, when they did the Fox News report and talked about his grandfather, Lauren, his namesake, because he's Lauren Bo Woods, was that got me.
It got me
bit,
good,
yeah.
man. I was sitting at the table, and I post it every year. It was the day he was born. They did a little feature on the news. We were blown away. We had no idea. I remember my mother-in-law getting pictures and videos, and she sent them over to Kathleen Bade at Fox 5, and they did a little tribute. And I watched that every year on his birthday, and I just sobbed. I just sobbed last night watching that because certainly the most special day of my life by far. So happy birthday, buddy. I love you. We've got a song for you. He had a request. He wanted to go to break with our song, mine and his. So we'll hit a little Live Forever by Oasis. And then we'll be back and set up the show.
Yeah, we'll hand out the menu, and unfortunately, an early shout-out to his family this morning here on Ben and Woods when we come back. So, from the highs of the highs, 6th birthday, to the lows of a shout-out to his family. That's coming up next. Check traffic. It is dangerous out there. Be very, very careful. If you don't have to go, I'd say just don't go this morning. Just stick around, listen to more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station and the number 16 morning show in the country on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, a little bad news waking up to that this morning.
Yeah, sad news. Country music star Toby Keith passed away yesterday at the age of 62. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer back in 2021, and according to his family, Toby Keith passed peacefully last night, surrounded by his family. He fought his fight with grace and courage. Please respect the privacy of his family at this time. And
I did not know that he was ill. I had no idea.
I didn't either. Yeah.
My mother-in-law is a massive Toby Keith fan. I'm pretty sure she's like jumped up on stage with him. She buys those front row tickets. I think she might have duetted with him once or twice, but huge Toby Keith fan. He has 5 or 6 songs that I absolutely love. He was on that line for me of like, oh, okay, kind of 90s country, and then it like he had some songs you're like, oh no, you were doing so good.
Don't say what songs, because that will offend somebody very much. Because those songs are wildly popular. But
like Red Solo Cup. It's the hokey stuff. But like his like meaningful songs were really, really good. Really good. So rest in peace. Shout out to his family, certainly.
Shout out to his family.
I am. I'm not the big cowboy country guy, but Toby
You don't
Keith,
say.
Toby Keith actually played a significant role for a few years in our life, because when our children were very young, Bo and Taylor's age and a little younger, you know how kids are, and there's just certain songs that will make them happy. And when you need to make your kids happy, you will play pretty much anything. And I've talked about when they were babies, I'd have to drive around with John Mayer on and sitting there in the back seat to get them to go to sleep. But as they got a little bit older, they became obsessed with one particular Toby Keith song. He did a rendition of that kid's like lullaby, Mockingbird, with his daughter Crystal Keith. And so this was constantly
She's got a really good
voice, and we probably had to listen to that, as kids go, 45,000 times, over a 3-year period, and you get a little tired of it, but you also then think about it nostalgically, and you remember how happy it made your children to play that song a million times.
No question, man. 62 years old, way too young. I think he needs a full one, Paulie. I think he needs the full shout.
The whole treatment?
Yeah.
And I really hope we can see more unity and more peace when already things are so difficult.
It's true.
So, shout out to his family.
Best audio that's ever lived. It just delights me every time. The full one just murders me every time. Just kills me every single time. I love it. Rest in peace to Toby Keith.
Got a good show coming up here on a Tuesday. In our 8 o'clock hour, I'll work a little bit backwards because I want to make sure that everybody knows. 8:35 this morning. This is a rare treat, actually, for Ben and Woods. We've only talked to him on the show just once before.
Yeah, one time.
One time before, but we will be joined by Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla as he gets ready to report to spring training with the pitchers and catchers this weekend. Got to see Ruben yesterday as we made our way out to the ribbon cutting ceremony for the biomechanics lab that the Padres and PLNU have put up together. It's just a couple of minutes away from our station. Incredible facility.
So cool.
Really, really neat stuff. Cutting edge technology that they're going to use to, help performance, help keep guys healthy. It's really interesting stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit, and obviously we'll pick Ruben's brain about a very new-look pitching staff. I mean, really new look. Some exciting new arms, the bullpen that's been completely revamped, but it's going to look different. Kind of optimistic about what at least that part of the Padres offseason and what they've done and put together. They may still need a little bit more depth, but Ruben will be with us at 8:35. And Woods, I'm looking forward to that conversation.
As am I. Did he dap you up yesterday?
I did not actually make physical contact.
Tough scene.
There was a lot of people there, and I never found myself right there in proximity.
Tough scene.
He sought me out. So.
With Ruben Niebla. He sought you out.
Yeah.
Oh, what's impressive.
Came up behind me and put his hands on my shoulder. That kind of scared me.
Scared you?
He said, "Hey, how you doing?"
Paulie goes, all right, 8:30 tomorrow. Don't be late. Yeah.
Did have a few tier ones that came up and said hello.
Some really nice folks out there.
People associated with PLNU. Their athletic director, Ethan Hamilton, who's a big listener of the show as well, was there. And
man, that facility was awesome.
It was a learning experience as well for me.
It's really cool to see that stuff in action. And, well, I want to talk to him about the information and all of that. It really, it's a fascinating part of the game and where the game is going. And I love that. I want to ask him about the blending of the old, he's a pretty old school dude. I want to ask him about the blending of the old school and the new school, which is really the only way to do it. That you can't have too much of one and not enough of the other. And that dude looks like he has embraced this fully. So I'm excited to talk to him. We saw Yu Darvish out there yesterday. I didn't see Yuki Matsui.
I assumed he was the one that was sitting next to you, right?
Next to him?
During the little news conference or during the actual ceremony.
You forget how tall Yu Darvish is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is tall. And Yuki Matsui, I believe, is a short king. So I didn't.
I mean, me and Ben are tall. And he's a good 2 inches taller.
I know, dude. He's much more lithe than both of you guys as well.
Yes.
Which is to be expected. But
yes.
No, it was a fun little excursion yesterday.
7 o'clock hour, we will have our usual features. Don't Do This, Take on Woods. A couple of great prizes today to give away, including the usual trip to Las Vegas qualification. We also have Padres spring training tickets to give away. At 7 o'clock, I want to talk a little bit about how Peter Seidler seems to have changed baseball a little bit with a move the Kansas City Royals made. And this screamed Padres, A.J. Preller, Peter Seidler all over it when they signed Bobby Witt Jr. to an 11-year, $288 million contract extension. Their young shortstop, very early in his major league career. This is a trend. Padres were somewhat trendsetters. The Braves did it a little bit as well. The Padres took it to another level, though. And as a small market team, the Kansas City Royals now seem to at least be going a little bit down the road that the Padres did, which is interesting for that franchise and pretty exciting for their fan base. So we'll do that in the 7 o'clock hour. And then next, I want to talk more about the Padres. We had their CEO on yesterday. I know our midday show, Craig talked about it. Chris and Gwen talked about it in the afternoon as well. Any thoughts that anyone had, any reaction a day later to what you heard from Eric Grupner yesterday, we can get into that as well and share more of our stories and experiences from yesterday's biomechanics lab ribbon cutting ceremony opening and what that could do for the Padres. I mean, I think, it's not one of those, instant tangible things that you'll see right away on the field. It's more of just a slight edge that maybe you can get over your competition.
Playing the long game.
Yeah, and Ruben talked about it a little bit yesterday as well, but this is something the Padres hope will make them more competitive, going forward in the future. So we'll get to that coming up as well. New power rankings out yesterday from ESPN and Major League Baseball. A little early. Spring training not quite here yet. And I was going to say, I don't know, is 16 good to be ranked in the country? And I thought, it's not great, but then this morning I have a different perspective on 16. Feels all right to be number 16.
16 is basically like being number one.
16 is pretty good,
yeah,
right?
16 is basically like being number one in my book.
We can talk about where the national media has the Padres and the national media has Ben and Woods ranked this morning in the top 20. So we'll get to all of that coming up. Good morning to you. It's Ben and Woods. We'll be right back with some Padres talk on the biomechanics lab and more next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Just had one of those cut-ins with Boomer Esiason during our break, if you were listening. Of course, number 1 ranked morning show in America with Boomer. You can also catch him weekly, kickoff with Boomer and Valenti, Fridays at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan as they talk NFL, all the biggest stories in the league, packed into 1 hour on the Odyssey app as well. It's presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. Yeah, they're number 1. We're number 16. Not bad. Not bad at all. Then again, the Padres were ranked number 16 yesterday by ESPN in their offseason power rankings. And I think if you had told me a year ago, because I don't remember exactly where they were, but it was probably top 5, certainly going into last season, that stepping back to 16 would be a little disappointing. So I guess it's all a matter of perspective, because I was excited about us moving up to 16. Maybe you're disappointed about the Padres moving down to 16, but I would imagine the Texas Rangers started last year somewhere around 16. The Arizona Diamondbacks started probably much lower than 16 last year in terms of the power ranking. So where you're ranked on February 6th doesn't really matter as opposed to where you're ranked on November 6th.
Yeah. It's not that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't matter.
I did read the same thing, and it said that did they move up? I thought they were up from 17 was their last ranking.
Oh, like off-season, earlier in the off-season,
whatever the
or at the
last
end of
time
last season.
ESPN did their last power rankings, we were 17th. So now we've moved up.
Doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
All these rankings are kind of based on projections and off-season moves. And anytime the national media are going to look at the Padres and go, well, Blake Snell is not, no longer on the team, and Josh Hader is no longer on the team, and Juan Soto is traded. The initial reaction, of course, is going to, we're not going to project them too high based on those star players being gone. But I did see, after talking to Eric Grupner yesterday and, trying to get a little bit into budget stuff and the TV deal, the ESPN did come out with a report this morning that I thought was interesting. The Padres aren't alone. Whether or not this has anything to do with Bally Sports and the regional sports network issues.
How could it not, though?
There's about half of baseball that is currently in RSN limbo, ESPN calls it, where they don't know exactly what kind of revenue they're going to be getting from their regional sports network, what their TV deal may look like beyond this season or even this season. And then there's half of the teams that are set, like the LA Dodgers. They have a locked-in contract with a different company, and they're not, no one's facing bankruptcy, and they can expect lots of money coming in. And this offseason has been fairly split between the teams that are not in RSN limbo, who have added, over $100 million in payroll collectively, and the teams that are in RSN limbo who have subtracted payroll. And it's not just the Padres, but they point out the Brewers, the Twins, the Rockies, the Tigers, the Angels, all in that same Bally Sports Regional Sports Network boat, and all of them currently at lower payroll levels than they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the proof that you need, and I think most fans are pretty understanding of that. I do think that I've seen that sentiment a lot of, yeah, man. I mean, you lose $60 million, that's gonna make a dent. And so, yeah, I think once they get that figured out, I don't know what the next steps are as far as figuring it out. Are they going to do it on their own? Is MLB and Eric told us yesterday, I believe, I don't want to misquote him, but Major League Baseball is kind of handling that for now. And boy, they've done such a great job with everything else. I look forward to seeing how they do this.
There are only 3 teams who are currently in that RSN purgatory who have actually added payroll in the offseason, and all 3 of them have a special circumstance. It's the Texas Rangers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, so you're defending league champions, and the Atlanta Braves, who are clearly in a win-now sort of mode and have done a good job in keeping the payroll fairly manageable due to the contracts they've given out to begin with. And they play in a really big market, even though they may not know exactly what their TV deal looks like. But all the other teams in RSN purgatory, essentially, have scaled back payroll this offseason, which is interesting to say the least. And, is it temporary? Is it permanent? We don't know. We don't know what it looks like beyond right now. But right now, there are a number of teams that are being at least very cautious this offseason with potential uncertain revenue streams in their future.
Well, and one thing you do know is that the fever for the Padres in San Diego is very high. I don't think anybody can deny that. I think there are a lot of people kind of peering over the fence right now saying, well, it's not quite as good as it looked last year, but we talked to Eric Rubner yesterday about season ticket sales are going well. People are still invested in this team. They want to talk about it. In fact, they really don't like when you talk about anything else other than the Padres. The news has just been very slow. The cycle has been very slow this offseason. But I think they're going to be okay in that fans are going to be interested in and want to watch and listen and talk about the team. I don't think that's going away anytime soon. And I think, they have done a good job at making sure that there are guys there that can put asses in the seats, like Fernando Tatis Jr., and he listed off the guys yesterday. We don't need to rehash it. That being said, though, yeah, man, I would love to see the roster completed before pitchers and catchers report. And then let's ride. Let's go. Like hair on fire. Let's try to shock some people.
I don't know if the Padres will be good or not this year. That remains to be seen. But I've seen not good and not interesting Padres teams.
That's the worst combo. Not interesting teams at all.
And I can tell you that I don't know if they'll be good or not, but there's going to be interesting things surrounding this Padres team. Enough talented players, enough excitement that at least it's not the old days of, all right, they're bad and they're also boring.
Right.
And that is not true, I don't think. So, if for a team in need of maybe an off-season win, one that had so many off-season wins the last couple of years and not many this off-season, thought yesterday was a big off-season win for the San Diego Padres. Let's check traffic, then we'll talk about what we did right after the show yesterday and why the Padres think yesterday could be a game changer for their organization coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Considering we've got some very wet roadways around the county, folks aren't doing too bad. Just a couple of things to mention here. Hit and run crash northbound side of the 125, just past Hamashaw. It's already in the clearing stage. Also, eastbound 8 near Magnolia. We have reports of a collision involving several vehicles. Looks like it is partially in lanes. And southbound side of the 805 at Orange Avenue off-ramp. Collision involving a couple vehicles. They are over to the right shoulder. Yeah, just continue to give yourself plenty of extra time. Keep your speeds down out there. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So it's been a couple of years now where we've kind of heard about the Point Loma Nazarene University biomechanics lab and the plans that the Padres had. But, it's a slow process of designing the facility, getting the funds, construction, and everything. And finally, yesterday, after a lot of work on behalf of both the university and the Padres, they were ready for the official ribbon cutting of their new biomechanics lab, which is on a satellite campus, actually just down the street here from our station. And we got invited to take part in that ribbon cutting ceremony, to hear some of the speakers from the school and the Padres, and then actually go inwards and see what it looks like in there, where Padres pitchers like Yu Darvish, who was in attendance yesterday, will get up on a mound with cameras all over the place, sensors in the floor, that actually measure force, and instantly, what is amazing about it, they had Daniel Camarena there throwing some pitches, and how quickly, instantly, you don't just see the velocity and the spin rate, but you can actually see the skeleton of the pitcher, his entire movement. The cameras are so precise that you can see as the ball is being released out of their hand exactly where their finger position is on the seams, and
pretty
how the ball
man.
comes out. It's pretty interesting stuff.
It really is, and they had a kid from PLNU throw first, and it was fun, man, to watch him kind of get hot up there. And he was first pitch was 79. I went, oh, okay, and then 83, 86. 88, and I'm watching the ball come out of his hand and the pronation of his wrist, and I was just entranced by it. I think it's really, really good stuff. I think it serves a dual purpose. A lot of pitchers get hurt because of mechanics, and when the mechanics go, it's like anything, man. If you're able to repeat your golf swing, you're going to be a good golfer, right? And when you lose it, and when you chicken wing, and when you leave the face open, you're not. If you can repeat it, the guys that can repeat their swing over and over and over, those are the best guys. Same thing with pitching mechanics. You want to be able to repeat your mechanics 100 pitches, whatever they've got you slated for. And you
say it to yourself without even realizing it. Like if you're on the mound throwing, whether it's adult league, fantasy camp, high school, college, whatever, you're like, oh, that one felt good. Do that same thing.
Don't change a thing.
Whatever I just did, that felt really good.
I got to repeat it again. And so it can actually help limit injuries by, making sure your mechanics are in line and your foot's landing where it's supposed to be and your arm's where it needs to be. And then the other detail of it is, why isn't my slider breaking? Well, where's your hand on the seam? Where are you snapping it off? It's all of that, and it's really, really cool to see. So
you're only getting this many RPMs.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Ideally, want this many.
I'm excited to see how many guys buy into it, and it sounds like, based on the article Dennis Lynn wrote in The Athletic about it, we saw Dennis yesterday, it sounds like a lot of guys have already bought in pretty heavily to it. A lot of guys have already gone in and gotten their assessments done, which is great. It was really cool to see. So I'm excited about it.
The question I had was, it all felt like very cutting edge technology when they were explaining the cameras and how many cameras are in that room. Is this cutting edge for the Padres? Like, are they leading the game with this, or are they behind the game?
I would say they're caught up now.
Well, no, I mean, I get the understanding that I got. Obviously,
out
places,
of the other 29 teams in baseball who has this kind of technology.
Places like Driveline, who are the cutting edge of this puts the Padres near the top. It's not catch up. What I was told is that they are now like the envy of other teams.
Okay.
Like they are being asked by other teams how they put it together. PLNU is being asked by other Major League Baseball teams, like, how can we set something like this up? This is beyond just TrackMan.
Right, which everybody has.
Rapsodo and Edgertronic. This is a next level to that. This is fairly cutting edge and something that I think puts the Padres a little ahead of the curve. Now, how long does that last? Are you ahead of the curve for 5 years? Are you ahead of the curve for 2 years? Other
for 3
teams,
weeks,
once they get jealous, they start trying to catch up really quickly. But hopefully this puts the Padres in a good place. And one of the things that, as I understood it at least, that is really going to help, and you mentioned it a little bit, Woods, is trying to minimize pitching injuries. It's like the final frontier, because for a long time, injuries were simply something unlucky that happened to your team, and there wasn't much you can do about it. But now, for instance, take Joe Musgrove and when he got hurt in spring training last year. So you can go in to the Padres facility, and they had the mobile facility before. Now they have the full physical facility. Basically get a baseline. Like, okay, this is what your best pitches look like when your form is perfect. And, you're getting your best velocity, your best break. Everything feels good. So when you're maybe coming back from an injury like Joe was, you go back in and you test your biomechanics. And to make sure, like, you're not compensating anywhere for an injury that is changing your delivery that could lead to more of an injury. And before Joe Musgrove got the green light to return, he had to pass basically the biomechanics screening going, all right, are you throwing like normal, or are you doing something that's going to cause an injury? And they said, looks good, matches what we've seen before. Your mechanics look good. You're ready to come back. And in the long run, the Padres are hoping that by monitoring this closely, they'll be able to minimize some of the injuries that are caused by poor mechanics, by altering your mechanics, because maybe you have a hamstring tweak, and that's changing your push or your land, which then affects everything all the way up the kinetic chain. So, if this keeps guys a little bit healthier on the field more, that can be a real competitive edge in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm really interested to ask T.O. Ruben when he joins us at 8:35, we'll be joined by Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla, is the discernment that he has to have when working with a bevy of different pitchers, because I think the younger generation of pitchers will be like, oh, give it to me. Give me all. I need to know what my spin rate is, and I need to know this, that, and the other. They did talk about yesterday in the presentation about the head coach of PLNU was talking about, I get the info, and then I got to figure out how to disseminate it. And I want to ask Ruben about, how that kind of works at that level, the very top level that you can be. how do you know when to give somebody more information? How much is paralysis by analysis? Like that's a dance that you have to have as a pitching coach, regardless of technology. Like there's always the dance that you have between 16 guys that you've got under your command.
You're right. You can't just say, well, we need you at 2,800 RPM here, and we need you at 98.4 miles per hour.
Right.
You're gonna confuse a lot of people if you just throw a bunch of numbers. But I heard you, Darvish, talking a little bit about it. My colleague Jeff Lasky did an interview with him, and I could even see it. So when they slow down those cameras, and you can see just the slightly different releases on pitches.
Yeah.
And Ruben talked about how if guys can see it, it sometimes, clicks in like, oh, when the pitch really worked, when it broke well, I did this. And it could be just as much as just a slight thing, but you can so see it so clearly. And if they know, okay, I know what that feeling is. I got a little more under it there, or I got a little less under it. It can really make a difference for guys having that visual aid to repeat their pitches the way they want to.
I mean, there's nothing like it. We used to have to do air check meetings at our old station with no audio. I mean, like, just tell me you're telling me what I did wrong, but you don't have the audio to back it up, so I'm just supposed to take you at your word. Yes. Would that have been helpful to us to grow as a show? Yes. Do you have the audio of that? No, I don't have it.
But trust me, you did.
Trust me, you did. All right, well, see you guys tomorrow for our daily meeting. Of course you need and want the evidence of what you're doing. If you're going to train me on something, you can't just walk by and go, you got to get that arm up on that changeup, right? No, you got to show me. Show me, because I feel like I'm doing exactly what you're saying. Well, no, look how low your elbow, right? Like, it's going to be great.
And again, yes, this did exist, and they sent players to the James Andrews lab in Alabama, or some guys would go on their own to drive line. But now the Padres have the ability to do this in their own backyard, which is undoubtedly much, much more efficient than putting someone on a plane across the country. You might be able to do that once a year. Now you can check in through the off season and other even parts of the year. And I'm curious to ask Ruben when he joins us at 8:35, how much during the season can you use this?
Yeah, good question.
Like a pitcher between starts, will he maybe do his bullpen session and go to this lab instead of doing it at Petco Park when they're at home, just to occasionally get that that baseline or that comparison to where they were before? Or is this more of an off season tool for the Padres and how they specifically plan to use it going forward?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it, and it was nice to go and see yesterday how it all shapes up. They can also analyze position players' movements. Your movement to the ball. There's a hitting lab there as well, so it's going to be hopefully really beneficial for these guys.
They got the whole tunnel, the batting practice tunnel, and they can have a pitcher versus catcher or versus hitter in any ballpark in America.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Simulated
like a golf
games.
simulator for baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right,
that would have been a double at Yankee Stadium, but not at this stadium.
All right, 1 hour in the books. We'll come back, play Take on Woods, and are the Kansas City Royals trying to be the new San Diego Padres? Yesterday's big baseball story coming up next here on 97.3 The Fan. So the Kansas City Royals taking a cue from what Peter Seidler did here with the San Diego Padres as a small market baseball team. Welcome back. It's Ben and Woods, hour number 2 here on a Tuesday on 97.3 The Fan.
You really do make the San Diego connection with everything. It's actually incredible.
Well, there's a lot of San Diego connections here. Look at
it's a skill.
Look at the offseason the Royals have had. They signed Michael Wacha, former Padre.
Yeah.
Seth Lugo, former Padre.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter Renfroe, former Padre.
Did they sign him too?
Yeah. Yeah, they got Hunter Renfroe. Let's see. They just signed Adam Frazier, former Padre.
Good God, they are the Padres.
And now...
Jesus.
And now they have offered and signed to an 11-year, $288.8 million contract extension their young, exciting, promising shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr., their Fernando Tatis Jr. of their organization, as it were, to lock him up for a decade plus, like the Padres did with Tatis to the 14-year deal 3 years ago.
Now, we'll really know that they're copying us when they move him to right field next year, and he is a platinum glove winner. We're like, hey, something's afoot
now,
here.
they haven't gone out on the giant free agent market and done the Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts signing. They're still the Kansas City Royals, and they may not be fully in with the, let's see if we can increase the payroll to the the level of the top 5 teams in baseball. But clearly, the Padres, A.J. Preller, Peter Seidler were on to something when they identified a young potential superstar player and thought, let's take care of this early. Let's go with the long-term contract that may look ridiculous at the time. Almost, unproven player getting $340 million for that amount of time. It was nuts. People viewed it as completely unnecessary. Why you could wait a little bit?
Yeah.
Why would you do it so early? And you could regret this. Of course you could, and you still may. But now other teams are seeing the value in, with the way that baseball salaries just continue to increase. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s deal, in just a short couple of years, all of a sudden looks like a bargain.
It absolutely
a real potential bargain.
24 a year?
Yeah. I mean, with Ohtani getting $700 million now.
Yeah.
For a superstar player, and if he is anywhere near what we've seen so far for a decade, the Padres will be reaping the benefits of that deal for a long time.
Soto's next contract will probably be the more appropriate comp. I mean, you can't compare anybody to Ohtani's
It'll be double
contract.
at least, I think, now.
But you can't compare to Ohtani. Yeah, the number is what it is, but the guy's a never before seen two-way player.
Right.
But Soto getting $450, $500 million, that's more comparable to Tatis now as another outfielder, and you're like, yeah, I'll take Tatis at $24 million a year. Absolutely.
One of the differences I've seen in the two is that I don't see the national blowback. With the Kansas City Royals signing Bobby Witt Jr. to this deal. I love Bobby Witt Jr. He's from my hometown of Colleyville, Texas. My brother went to Colleyville High School. The Witt family grew up there. I love Bobby Witt Jr. This is not a knock on him. I have not seen any blowback on this deal at all, like we did with the Fernando Tatis Jr. deal. Ken Rosenthal, in fact, who is it's kind of a low-hanging fruit, easy target sometimes. I mean, he wrote the article yesterday. Rosenthal, Bobby Witt Jr. extension shows small market teams can and should make big moves. When 2 weeks ago he wrote that they shouldn't because they might end up being a pedophile like Wander Franco. And then he had a lot to say about the Tatis deal when that happened. So I don't really know. It's very much snip, snap, back, forth. Like, is it good or is it not? Is it good? I think it's good. If I was the Royals brass, I'd say absolutely. Are you open to this, Bobby? You are? Great. Then let's get this thing done. We want you here, and we want you manning shortstop for the next 10 years, 11 years. Absolutely want you to be a Royal for the rest of your life. Now, he's got opt-outs.
Yeah,
that does
protect him a little bit.
Protects him.
If he's like, an unbelievable superstar.
And he's like, this, we're not winning, and this is terrible, and I want to win before I go. Then, yeah, he's got an option to get out of there if he wants to. But I thought this was an awesome move, and I thought it was a necessary move. Do I also understand they're bucking for a new stadium to be built in Kansas City. Is that right?
I think they just decided that they're staying.
Are they going to stay?
Yeah,
at,
and they're going to
refurbish
and.
I thought I read that they were still working on it.
Are they still thinking about it?
Potentially.
I know a lot of people would like them to stay. They love Kaufman.
I loved it. I had the time of my life. It really was one of the nicer, cooler stadiums I'd been to.
I thought Passon wrote something along the lines of, like, to start his story yesterday, the Royals are hoping that to get a new stadium soon and that Bobby Witt Jr. will be the centerpiece of it or something like that.
He's a spectacular player, man. He is a spectacular player. I love watching him play. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think it's great for the game, and for all the reasons we just talked about, with like Tatis being a bargain. The market changes so much in just a short span. I mean, when guys like Sean Manaea are making $15 million a year, guys that you completely forgot about, like, that's on the pitching side of it. But I look around baseball, and you look at like what the Mariners did with their center fielder
Julio Rodriguez. Yep.
Signing him to that long-term deal,
12-year deal.
You're seeing prospects getting 6, 7, 8-year contracts.
The guy
now.
Jackson Chorio just got 8 years, $82 million from the Brewers.
The Tigers. Yeah, I think it's great. And hey, listen, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Ethan Salas continues to climb the ranks as he is, that you don't see a deal like this in the next 2 to 3 years for the San Diego Padres of locking him down for 10, 11,
Maybe
12
even
years.
Sooner.
Maybe even sooner. You never know.
I'm accused in the chat of being a little jealous of the Royals. I don't know. I might be a little jealous of the Brewers as well. They made a move yesterday that I liked. Let's get into that first. The phone lines are open for Take on Woods. We're about 3 minutes away from our game, so if you want to get in now, this is your chance. Nobody on the line. 833-288-0973. Chance to qualify for our new Las Vegas getaway and tickets to Air Supply in concert at the Westgate, but you need to beat or tie Woods in our game coming up. Musical Trivia Challenge, 833-288-0973. Call now. We're going to play in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, the other move in baseball yesterday was maybe under the radar, but the Milwaukee Brewers, who just traded away Corbin Burns, of course, to the Baltimore Orioles, signed right-handed pitcher Jacob Junis to a 1-year, $7 million deal. And, Junis isn't Corbin Burns.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you worked in Milwaukee this morning and tried to pitch this, they would come after your head.
No, but he does, and I saw Eno Saris come out with some of his stuff, and his slider is definitely one of the best in the game. He showed the Stuff Plus numbers on sliders, and Junis was right up there. I think it was in the top 10, top 15 in the league. One of the top ones in the league, I noticed, was Michael King as well, new Padres pitcher with one of the top sliders in all of baseball. But if you're trying to find, you're never going to replace a Corbin Burns completely, but to trade him, the Brewers obviously would like to still be competitive.
Sure.
It's certainly a winnable division that they've gotten to the playoffs several times in recent years. They make it harder on themselves by not being able to keep star players, but I thought a nice, temporary, stopgap move to replace Corbin Burns, and someone that, I'm looking for the Padres still to add one more stopgap type pitcher.
Were there details on
$7 million?
$7 million.
1 year, $7 million.
Yep.
Yeah. But again, it's, Jacob Junis is not some star player who has consistently put up, great numbers. He's got some good stuff, though. He projects. He had a career 7 WAR, 0.8 last season. That's not star, but 3.87 ERA, 4-3, in 86 innings. It's these are the kind of players that I would think the Padres would be looking into, at least, going into spring training, needing to add.
They may be. I don't know. I don't know what they're up to.
No, they have played it close to the vest.
Very, very close to the vest.
You can't get much closer to the vest. You're like
you're
in the
inside.
Pocket of the vest.
You're inside. You're under
vest.
your shirt, peering through. Oh, 2 Kings. Yeah, it's up under your shirt. You really don't want anybody to see it.
All right, let's get to today's game. It's time to play Take on Woods. All right, we got Tom as our contestant as Woods leaves the studio. Tom, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're good. First timer, or have you played before?
First time caller.
All right.
Love it.
Let's go through the rules. I'm sure you know them, but just for everybody. It's 5 questions, musical trivia. Woods will then come back, answer the same 5 questions without benefit of the category. If you beat or tie him, we will put you into our grand prize monthly drawing for a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and 2 tickets to Air Supply May 31st, June 1st at the Westgate International Theater. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. And, of course, Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Here are your categories, Tom, for a Tuesday. Still have the mystery category sitting there. That one, the first song, the 2-second song, will give you the clue to the rest of the answers. We have Don't Call Me Edward. That is all about musical eddies. And we have a new category called Add a Zero, in which you're going to add a 0 to each answer all the way through. So your choice, mystery category, Don't Call Me Edward, or add a 0. Tom, what is it going to be?
Let's do mystery category. Why not?
It's back. All right. The mystery category can be tough, but if you identify the 2-second song and the artist, you'll be well on your way to solving today's mystery category. So, Paulie going to play you some music. Give me the title and the artist. If you don't know it, say pass. You may figure out the category later on as we go. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. If you don't know, say pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. Tom, you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. The mystery category. The music will decide. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays that music. Good luck, Tom. Let's take on Woods.
I never meant to be so bad to you.
I think it's anybody but Pat.
Which 1980s song that became an international sensation turned the Vapors into one-hit wonders? I really think so.
Pat.
The title of which Led Zeppelin progressive classic shares a name with the northernmost province of India near the Himalayan mountains.
Oh, goodness gracious. I got no chance here. Pat.
It didn't become popular until David Bowie recorded it in 1983, but which song did he co-write with Iggy Pop that was first recorded back in 1977?
Pat.
Murray Head is the British actor who raps out the verses in which quirky song from the musical Chess?
Goodness gracious.
Oh, no, Tom.
Pat.
All right, go back to our song.
Be so bad to you. One thing I said that I would never.
Oh, God. This is a very...
That's okay. No, you know what, Tom? It's all right. The mystery category can be very tough.
Got to get the first one.
Yeah, so that song is Heat of the Moment by Asia. And Asia was the theme because the rest of the answers were Turning Japanese by the Vapors, Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, China Girl by David Bowie, and One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head, all Asian places. So, I don't know. Maybe this will be tough for Woods, too. We had a 5-4 game yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, Woods.
Down goes Woods.
All right, let's reset everything. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Tom.
Never meant to be so bad to you.
Heat of the moment, Asia.
Correct. Which 1980 song that became an international sensation turned the Vapors into one-hit wonders? I really think so.
I'm turning Japanese.
Correct. The title of which Led Zeppelin progressive classic shares a name with the northernmost province of India near the Himalayan mountains.
Kashmir.
Correct. It didn't become popular until David Bowie recorded it in 1983, but which song did he co-write with Iggy Pop, first recorded in 1977?
That is Fame.
Incorrect.
No, it's not Fame.
Murray Head is the British actor who raps out the verses in which quirky song from the musical Chess.
Putting on the Ritz.
No. You got 3. Which
What's
is
the Bowie one?
China Girl.
China Girl. I didn't know he wrote that with Iggy Pop, actually.
Yeah, it was a mystery category. He did. Asia was the theme. Asia, Heat of the Moment, Turning Japanese, Kashmir, China Girl, and One Night in Bangkok.
I hate that song.
But you
Murray
did win
Head.
today, 3-0 over Tom. It's a mystery category, which is always tough.
That was very tough.
Yeah.
Murray Head, by the way. That song's terrible. I know you like it. I
do.
know you do. I know it. You didn't have to tell me. I knew you liked it.
I do.
Bangkok, Oriental City. It's the worst. The worst.
One Night in Bangkok makes the hard man humble.
Whoa.
My goodness.
All right, let's try again tomorrow with another game of Take on Woods. Congratulations on getting back into the win column after an L to Guy yesterday. All right, Don't Do This is coming up next. You said you had a Matt Barnes story.
Dude, come on, man. Yeah, you went full Little League dad.
And we
full
have
Little
our
League dad.
we have our first controversy from Super Bowl week in Las Vegas already, involving
Another one?
the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh. All right.
Coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, two stories that make you shake your head. A little do this to wrap it up. It's our traditional 7:20 segment, and we'll let Woodsy kick us off this morning. Hello, Woods.
Hello, my friend. Former NBA forward Matt Barnes went full Little League dad at his son's high school basketball game. He was standing, yelling obscenities at the referee. And then, this is where it gets interesting, he allegedly attempted to intimidate a student broadcaster. So Jake Lancer said on the air, Harvard Westlake broadcaster, that Matt Barnes came up and kind of put his hands on me, actually. Lancer said he was fine, but Barnes had been going onto the court multiple times to yell at the officials. When the two made eye contact is when he approached Lancer. He said, "What do you think you're looking at?" And I said, "You're screaming you're a P word to the refs mid-game while I'm trying to announce. Don't touch me." And then he said, "I'll slap the S out of you." This is a kid, by the way. He's like 17 years old. He's like the Ben Higgins of Harvard Westlake over there trying to call a basketball game.
Which is pretty big-time high school basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the L.A. area.
So another video posted to Twitter was also captioned, "Student told Matt Barnes to shut up." Right? And he said, "I never said anything like that. He came up to me. All I wanted to do was get back to announcing the championship game." So Matt Barnes goes to Twitter and says to a woman on Twitter, "Shut your ass up. I was talking to the ref, not you or that kid that decided to say some slick S. Don't let that privileged HWS, Harvard Westlake, S, go to your head. I don't give an F who your son is." And then somebody followed it up with a video. It says, "Caught in 4K, buddy." It's all on video. I mean, you can very clearly see him lose it at a basketball game that his son was playing at.
You know, that's an interesting question. If the kid is broadcasting the game and what Matt Barnes is saying is being overheard, I think the kid has a right to be upset. Now, as a 17-year-old, can you ever call out an adult? Do you believe that? I know there are certain people who just believe that kids should never call out adults, even if they think they're wrong, that's not their place to do so. It's disrespectful. If he did actually call him out, say, "Hey,
17.
shut up, even if it's Matt Barnes." I
don't think he said shut up.
Well, I don't know what he said, but should he not have said anything to Matt Barnes, let other people handle it because he's just 17, or does he have a right to say something if he feels like, hey, this guy is being disruptive and I'm doing this broadcast? And
what would you have done?
I probably would have just tried to plow through it and
we know.
Not said anything to Matt Barnes.
Yeah,
can be an intimidating fellow for sure.
Matt came up and
what would Ted Leitner have done?
It's a good question. It's a really good question. I think we know
I heard him.
what Ted Leitner would
Here's a
have done.
concept. Bite me.
I heard him lose his mind on Saturday calling the Utah State game because the coach, Danny Sprinkle of the Aggies, would not stand anywhere except right in front of Ted the entire time.
I would do the exact same thing.
Coach, can't you just move over here? I can't see anything. I can't call the game. I can't see.
It's incredible.
He lost his mind.
I love it. I love when he loses his mind. I have a lot of love
By the
for
way,
Teddy and me.
we got a little Teddy coming up.
Yeah, we do.
In a second, and do this.
But Matt Barnes, number one, let the officials call the game, right? Don't go on the court. We get it. You're a big NBA star, but don't go on the court. Don't start calling the referees P words. You went full Little League dad. It happened, and wear it, and accept your punishment.
All right, had our first Las Vegas-based controversy of Super Bowl week on day one, essentially. Had the media night last night at Allegiant Stadium. But before that, the San Francisco 49ers had their first practice. They have been assigned UNLV as their home practice base for the week. So they're using the UNLV football team's practice fields. UNLV, though, has field turf, and they decided that's not what they wanted to practice on.
Sure.
So the NFL installed like a sod, a grass field above the field turf, temporary for the week for the 49ers to practice on. But apparently they just put it in last week, and the 49ers aren't too happy with the quality of said field. Now, Roger Goodell has said, it's fine. We've had 23 experts go check it out. The union signed off on it. This is fine. There's no story here. There's nothing to see here. Yeah. The 49ers, though, said there's certain standards. There's a hardness score for fields, and every field in the NFL is at least 70. It's like pretty firm. You don't want guys sinking into the grass, essentially. And they said the field that they're using is in the 50s. It's like pretty soft compared to what everybody's used to. Now, maybe they're being soft by complaining about grass that sinks a little bit too much, but the last thing you want to deal with is an injury or something like that this week. They're going to deal with it. Trying to move past this story, but
I was reading on
something
ESPN,
that was talked about yesterday.
Says the NFL put in a sod field on top of the field turf and started laying it just last week. The NFL ordinarily requires Super Bowl practice fields to be done and meet the standards back in December.
Holy smokes!
And they just did it last week.
1 week's pretty quick to try to just put a grass field on something. You gotta have time to let it kind of settle and the seams to all meld together. A week isn't a lot of time.
Man, when I see what my beloved San Diego Seals play on, the turf that they play on up at Chong Arena with bubbles and folded up corners, and then you go to the backfields of Peoria, Arizona, and you take ground balls on that. The way I look at it is, I'm like, no one should complain about anything. You guys are pro. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Find a giant ballroom to practice in Las Vegas. I'm sure there are plenty. You know what I'm saying?
There probably are football-sized ballrooms
There's no
in Las
question
Vegas to practice in.
They're going to be okay. I got the last one just made me laugh yesterday. I saw this tweet from the great
Mega Doo-Doo.
The great Ted Leitner, who we just mentioned. Wish I could do his voice better, but I'm not going to. It's a GPS breakdown trying to get to the Padres' 50th anniversary dinner. Stopped at the Brigantine to get directions. Manager Andy Thimes says, I'll drive you there. And then you call me, and I'll pick you up later. Saved by a Padres fan.
So the dinner wasn't at the brig.
It was not at the brig.
But Ted knew how to get to the brig.
He
thought
saw the brig.
Someone at the brig will know where I'm supposed to go.
I absolutely died.
And not only did they said, Uncle Teddy,
I'll drive you.
I'll just take you there.
Thanks to Andy at the Brigantine and the Padres. He said, saved by a Padres fan. I thought that was the greatest story. Imagine you're Andy from the Brigantine, and Ted Leitner walks in all in a panic because he's lost, and you're like, you know what, bro, leave your car. I would have done this exact same thing. Like, I'll just drive you there. Uncle Teddy showed a great, a lot of trust in Andy from the Brigantine to get him there. But I thought that was just a really, really cool story. And very quintessentially, Uncle Teddy.
And Polly on our feed showed a great picture of my colleague Marie Coronel, who was there at the Padres dinner, posing with Uncle Teddy and Jesse Agler and Mud Grant, all at the Padres anniversary dinner. So that was very cool. And that is Don't and Do This for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we'll come back. New prospect rankings are out. It's almost embarrassing to say this. I know, just to keep bringing them up. It was Keith Law who had his top 100 in the Athletic yesterday, but he's higher on one particular Padre than any other list.
Keith has done this in the past.
He has.
He's done this in the past. It's an interesting dichotomy that he presents. And he's done this on more than one occasion. We can talk about that as well.
Coming up next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're just 1 hour away from Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla joining Ben and Woods for just the second time ever. Looking forward to that conversation. As Ruben was so important in AJ Preller's mind of the franchise that he was locked up before they hired Bob Melvin, correct?
Yes.
And when Bob Melvin left, it's like no, but we're keeping Ruben for sure. No matter who we hire as our new manager, Ruben is sticking around. They want him to be a mainstay of this organization for as long as possible.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying. He came in here with rave reviews from everybody that worked with him before in Cleveland. My hope, Benny, is that he is a Padre for the rest of his career. And he is. Watching him yesterday at PLNU and listening to him speak as well, that dude knows exactly what he's talking about, and guys really, really respond to him. And you saw what he was able to do last year, helping guys like Michael Wacha, helping guys like Seth Lugo. I think it's a lot of the times it's dependent on the player as well. You're not a magician, you're not an alchemist or anything. Like, the guys got to want to do the work and learn, and they do under him. I think from a standpoint of some of the staff that A.J. Preller has put together, Ben, honestly second to none as far as Ruben and his squad go.
I'm looking forward to our conversation with Ruben and getting his thoughts on some of the new pitchers. So he said he has seen 26 different Padres pitchers already coming through the lab. So he'll have a good idea of what he's got to work with this season, even before pitchers and catchers report to Peoria, Arizona this Sunday.
Yeah, some guys on the roster, some guys non-roster invitees, I think is what I read. But, yeah, if you get a chance to go work with him, absolutely, you take it. And I love to hear that 26 guys have already done that.
All right. I know we've had a lot of prospect talk this offseason, but it is fun to dream on the potential of future maybe superstars, and Keith Law of The Athletic is extremely high, even higher than most, on one Padres prospect in particular. Get to that right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Yep, this is another day when it might be a good idea to work from home if you can manage it. But if you got to get out there, guys, give yourself plenty of extra time. We've had numerous spinouts. Got one on the Murray Ridge on-ramp to northbound 805. Also collision on northbound 15 before Market Street. You got middle lanes blocked there. Southwest Coastline got a vehicle that spun out, wound up in a ditch over the right shoulder right before Santa Fe Drive. The daily jackpots at Viejas Casino and Resort are on fire. Players have hit huge wins with bets as low as 50 cents. Check out their jackpot winning smiles on the Viejas Facebook page. Want to join them? Who knows? Our next jackpot winner could be you. Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So it's prospect ranking season, and everybody who does this has come out with lists in the last few weeks, including Baseball America and MLB Pipeline and ESPN. So you've seen a ton of these, and they're all kind of variations on the same theme. There's some guys will make the top 100, others won't on certain lists. The top 15, 20 are generally the same guys for the most part in a little different order. And we've seen Ethan Salas jump into all of these rankings after last year. He wasn't even eligible yet, had not started his pro career as a 16-year-old who had just signed out of Venezuela. But this year he is eligible, and we've seen him climb into the top 10 in certain rankings, number 9. But Keith Law of The Athletic released his rankings yesterday, and he has Ethan Salas all the way up at number 3.
Ooh, hard not to get excited about
number
that.
3.
That's a very excited Keith Law looking at the potential future of Ethan Salas. And here's what he wrote a little bit that will have you kind of whetting your appetite about what Salas could bring. So he's a smooth catcher who has game-calling experience and is comfortable catching premium velocity already with a plus arm and quick release as well. At the plate, he's surprisingly short to the ball for a 6'2" hitter with easy power already. He has enough pitch recognition that he has an idea of when to reach back a little for a harder but longer swing. Catching's tough on the body and mind, with prospects behind the dish essentially doing a double major, learning all of the skills for a backstop, receiving, blocking, framing, throwing, game calling, smiling, being nice to umps, while also developing as a hitter. Salas is advanced at the first major, being a catcher as any 17-year-old I can remember seeing, and he seems to be ready to at least survive in Double-A as a hitter already. It's a potential bat that would play at first base, attached to a catcher who might be plus in every meaningful aspect of the position. If he keeps hitting, Krylon might put him in their commercials.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either, but I bet it's good.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Sounds very good.
That's as glowing of a scouting report as you're going to hear about just about anybody.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny, and he lists his criteria for how he ranks these guys.
Krylon is spray paint. Paint in the corner?
No. It must be some campaign that we're unaware of.
Yeah, potentially. So he lists.
Oh, is that Johnny Bench's? That's what Johnny Bench used to do the ads for Krylon spray paint? Is that right?
We figured it out.
The next Johnny Bench.
I think that's what that reference was to. I got that reference.
Big shoes to fill. The interesting thing
like
that
Captain America with a Wizard of Oz reference. Oh, I got that one. It's very old.
No idea what you're talking
very
about.
old.
It's like Andy Griffith's show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We're just saying stuff. And it's like All in the Family. And Cheers. It's very much like Cheers. What Keith does is a little bit odd to me. He's got his top two guys are ready to make, they're expected to probably play this year. And that's Jackson Holiday, Jackson Churio, a couple of Jacksons at the top, the Orioles and Brewers respectively. But then he's got Ethan Salas at 3, and not way down the list, but down the list a little bit is checking in at number 23, Jackson Merrill, who's probably the prospect that is closest to the big leagues, I would imagine, for the San Diego Padres, at least on the position side.
But there's no reason to ever think that just because a prospect is closer to the big leagues affects their overall ranking of what kind of prospect you think they are. Now,
it's weird that number 9, Evan Carter, is in there, but he has a World Series ring from the Texas Rangers last year. But yeah, like there's Paul Skeens, Kyle Harrison pitched really well for the Giants last year. He's in
everybody has their kind of rules about how much service time you can have while still be classified as a prospect.
Yeah.
And even winning a World Series doesn't necessarily make you a better prospect. Now, it's much harder to project a younger guy who's 17 years old.
Which is why I would have put him down, maybe, nothing against him, but guys that are probably more ready to make the jump.
Stand by your evaluation. If you look at a position like catcher and a guy like Ethan Salas, who stands out so much compared to other catchers of his age, I can certainly see why Keith Law would make that argument, that you're not going to get much better than this. I've heard, Pudge Rodriguez being compared to Ethan Salas in terms of the advancement, like what he looked like as a 17-year-old. No one's been as advanced since Pudge at this age.
Yeah, he made his debut pretty early.
I think 19 is when he made his debut, and there's talk.
And he was immediately when he got there, he was
Impact
he
player.
was incredible.
There's talk that that Ethan Salas may even beat that. So if he comes up in 2025, he would come up likely as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
If he comes up early in the year, because he will turn 18 this summer. He's 17, will turn 18, I think. Sometime around August or something is when his birthday was. Because he played 4 or 5 games as a 16-year-old at Lake Elsinore and then turned 17 this last season. So now he'll play a bunch of this year as 17 and turn 18. But if he comes up
June 1st,
June 1st, so even earlier. So if he comes up in 2025, it will likely be either as an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old. And there's a lot of people who think he can absolutely make his major league debut in 2025.
Man, he's got to, he's got to hit, and that's what Keith says is that he can survive at Double-A. That's the thought. I did hear Jim Callis on with Quinn and Chris yesterday saying it was pretty insane that they moved him up to Double-A last year. But then again, man, getting experience is not a bad thing. It doesn't. Let me ask you this.
I think that's overblown. It was 9
games. What is the harm there for 9 games to bring a guy up?
If you had brought him up for 3 months and he was just struggled and outmatched by the pitchers and you lose confidence, that's one thing. For 9 games as part of a playoff run to be part with other guys, and by the way, everyone said he may not have put up big numbers, but it didn't look like he didn't belong there. when he was at Double-A with the other guys. You know, he wasn't hitting quite against the Double-A level of pitchers, who, by the way, are generally the top pitching prospects. The top guys in their system are going to be at the Double-A level. So, you know, facing the best of the best. But, yeah, I thought most of the reports we heard last year were very good.
It's going to be fun to see where he starts the season this year.
Paul, did you say you saw a prediction that someone thought that he might even come up in September this year?
It was ESPN's bold predictions, so not something that they necessarily really believe will happen, but something that they think could happen.
At least on the outside realm of possibility.
And I don't remember exactly who wrote it. I think Alden Gonzalez and Kylie McDaniel wrote a couple of blurbs for the Padres. One of them was that Jackson Merrill would get called up before the All-Star break.
Okay.
And the other one was that Ethan Salas would be a September call-up for the San Diego Padres, not because they need him, not because they really even want him to play, but for the same reasons that you just talked about with him getting that promotion last year. It would be getting that major league experience, getting the life of a major league baseball player, getting coached by the best, etc.
The Padres have been pretty good about not manipulating service time. That one, to me, would be a little bit insane at the big league level in September. It's not the 40, you don't get to call up 100 guys like you used to and just have a guy. You don't want to start that clock, I guess, if you don't need to. He'll be just freshly 18, few months past his 18th birthday.
Does that start his clock?
Yes.
The September call-up would count as a year of service?
It's a minute.
It goes day by day, though. You don't get like a full year of service. You get maybe like 10 or 15 days.
But you don't want to start that clock
if he was then on the team to start the next year, you might get him closer to Super 2 status for arbitration in a couple of years. But if he's that good,
you're going to extend
great.
him.
That's fine. I mean,
you're probably going to extend
think
him
of extending him. Now, one thing that, and I can't remember who brought it up, and this is this would be in the category of really good problems to have. But what if Luis Campusano goes as a monster season this year as the generally everyday starting catcher for the Padres? And, the best that we saw from Campusano last year was quite intriguing. And, his hitting ability continues to improve behind the plate and has the potential, I would say, if things go well this season, to put himself squarely in the upper half maybe of catchers in baseball.
Yeah, he's ranked lower third right now, preseason rankings and all that. I saw something the other day. But, yeah, if he's able to do that, Benny, move up a couple of notches there, you're a top 10 catcher in the league, which is he absolutely has the potential to do that.
Obviously, he's got to stay healthy, which has been a challenge for him so far.
It opens up a whole new can of worms for A.J. Preller, which, again, those are worms that you're happy to have.
Again, probably too early to really speculate, but at some point you'd have to consider position changes and trades. And, I mean, it would be a very valuable commodity to have a productive, everyday Luis Campusano at the big league level and Ethan Salas pushing his way up quickly in the minor league level, and then trying to figure out what you're going to do with your riches at a position that most teams are fairly poverty at. And by the way, we don't talk about some of the other Padres catching prospects, but they've got a few guys down there that these experts are fairly high on. Not top 100 guys, but certainly catchers that at every level now that other teams would be going like, God, I wish we had some of the catchers the Padres had in their minor league system. So they
can be yours for the low price of a excellent corner outfielder, perhaps, or maybe a center fielder,
starting
pitcher,
perhaps.
The low price.
And I don't know that teams are. I mean, there are probably some teams out there that are looking to build their minor league catching system. Most are looking for someone who's going to contribute pretty quickly on the major league level. It is the position that's the hardest to fill, both in Major League Baseball and on your adult league team. Are you catching? You have a catcher?
I'm catcher rich.
You're catcher rich?
I'm laden.
Really? You're like one of the only adult
laden.
league managers who's catcher rich.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. So I knew exactly who I needed to target, and I got them.
Michael says, here goes Ben again, trying to trade our good players.
Yeah, Ben trying to trade Ethan Salas today.
I didn't say that.
Shocking.
I could be trading Luis Campusano.
I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. I'm speechless. No, it's a good problem to have, except when they're all at shortstop coming up. That's been kind of an issue. You can't have the massive log jam there, but Yeah, at some point, man, you can't hang on to all of these guys forever. But Ethan Salas is one that feels a little bit like the golden goose. Like that's not one that's going to be, that's a non-starter for any trade talks. I would imagine. It seems like the organization is really, really high on him, and we can ask Ruben Niebla about him as well. I know he's worked with him. I'm sure.
Is there any desire? And again, don't even know if there's been conversations lately. But now that Kyle Higashioka is part of the team as a backup. Gary Sanchez remains in free agency, unsigned by another team. Is there any desire to get Gary Sanchez back as a designated hitter bat and potential injury insurance backup at a catcher position in case Luis Campusano goes down again? You wouldn't necessarily feel too good about Kyle Higashi.
I was so happy to be wrong on him. I loved seeing what he did last year for this team, and it seemed like such a natural fit. Let's see. Angels labeled as a fit for two-time All-Star by MLB.com. Pirates rumors, Gary Sanchez still. Pirates and Angels are the two teams attached to him right now. It doesn't sound like the Padres are really in on him.
I mean, we talk about, obviously, the outfield spots and some pitching depth. You brought it up yesterday. I think Paulie made a promo out of it. Designated hitter is not somewhere that the Padres are at all in good shape, especially with the news that Manny Machado is progressing well and could be back at third base by the start of the season. If he's healthy, he's at third, which puts, Xander Bogaerts, Ha-Seong Kim, Jake Cronenworth in your infield. And you still don't even have a complete outfield, so you can't take one of your outfielders and make them a designated hitter, which leaves what? Kyle Higashioka, Eggy Rosario, Matt Batten, Jose Azocar. These are not designated hitting options that you want to be choosing from. They need another bat, too. That's not just an outfielder, but someone who can just plug in and give them some designated hitter at-bats as well.
Yeah, I have not, it's been so tight-lipped, man. I have not heard the Padres really connected to anyone, but that's usually how it goes. Typically, when they are connected to someone, they don't get them, and then they get somebody that surprises you, like Wandy Peralta.
And when Eric Grupner said, and went through the prospects and said, hey, the youth movement is coming, you don't want any of them to really be the DH, though.
No.
You don't want to, hamstring a young player by then not letting him play the field once they bring him up. So I don't really consider, other than in an emergency, anyone like Jackson Merrill to be a DH coming up. That's the last option you want to do for a young player early in their career.
Couldn't agree more.
So you need somebody out there to DH, and I just thought maybe Gary Sanchez. Another right-hander, of course.
Of course.
Beggars can't be choosers at a certain point. All right, we'll come back. We got 2 hours to go. Ruben Niebla will join us in our 8 o'clock hour. Much more coming up with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on a Tuesday that definitely feels like a Wednesday, maybe even a Thursday here on Ben and Woods.
That's why we have different opens every day.
I know, the 4-hour show
keep track of the days now.
The 4-hour show is feeling like a 6-hour show in this very, very slow offseason, but we will persevere. We are together. We are here, and that's something.
I always laugh because people think, oh, it's Super Bowl week. You guys sports radio must be huge. Super Bowl week's the worst. It's the worst.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Unless your team's in it.
There's 2 weeks between. It's one football game.
It's one game.
It's 2 teams we've already talked about for a month already. It's one football game.
The overanalyzation of this game is enough to make your head spin. By the way, I'm Woodsy. That is Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. You couldn't be more right. It is the even on the national championship game. Yeah, I think I asked on the air, when is the kickoff going to be? And you're like, 6:36. I'm like, I'm tuning in at 6:34. I cannot do 19 straight hours of coverage. I don't know how those guys do it, man. They stay on those desks and cover that one game all day long. And this guy, and he's going to do the pocket passer, and he's going to quick release, and the comeback routes, and
there's literally nothing dumber in sports, I think, and there's a lot of dumb things.
There's a lot of dumb things in sports.
Then the media day, the opening night, they call it now, that they did last night. Terrific. I saw the pictures of. I didn't cover it at all. I'm so tired of it. The pictures of the media mob surrounding Travis Kelce's table.
Yeah,
and you see, it's like 14 people deep, and there's like people in the back who are holding their cell phone up to get a little video or a shot of Travis Kelce over the heads of 17 other people, but they can't possibly hear anything he's saying or ask a question or anything. What content is that? Whose content is
Adam would love
All
it.
right, here's what we've got for you. We've got a blurry picture of Travis Kelce.
Adam would love it and post it on 97.3 The Fan page. Do you remember the Chris Paddock picture?
Oh, God.
Yes,
He posted.
The press
Hashtag
box.
photos by Adam.
It looked like it was taken with a potato.
I'm a bad photo taker too, but I won't even try most of the time.
Yeah,
because what's that content? Travis Kelce is there answering questions. You're 50 feet away from him with 100 people between you and him.
I think honestly,
here we are at the Super Bowl with Travis Kelce.
The psychology.
Thanks, what does that do for anybody?
The psychology of it is, I'm going to get my phone out. Like, all right, here's a perfect example. We went yesterday to the PLNU biomechanics lab, right? And I was sitting on the bench. I was pretty close. I could hear the ball whistling out of the guy's hands. Paulie was right there. Our buddy John Hoover was sitting next to me, and we're watching this guy throw. And my natural reaction was to get my phone out and start recording a video. I didn't post it. And then I thought to myself, why did you do that? If you didn't have any intent of posting it, or if it's because you know what I knew? I knew that 700 other people would post it yesterday, and I didn't. So tell me you found that picture.
It's on there.
It's on there?
Yeah, it's on the YouTube stream.
The taken with the potato picture of It looks like something Bo drew and colored in. That was on the 97.3.
Is it a watercolor?
I got to tell you, I used to. For those of you listening, I'm sorry that you can't see it. It's a picture of Chris Paddock. It's so blurry that if you didn't know he had the mop of hair behind him, you wouldn't know it was him. But when we were at the other station, I used to just rip at him for the social media here. It was my favorite topic. It was like the most amusing thing I'd ever seen. Adam would tweet out a graphic of Eric Hosmer starting at short, Franmil Reyes on the mound, Austin Hedges in right field, and I would die. I would just retweet it and laugh every day. They were so mad at me when I got it because I was poking fun at them because, if you're going to do it, try to get it right. But, you're asking who would want that content. He sits right down there. He just popped in to say congratulations. He would want that content.
I'm surprised he didn't make Sammy go out to freaking Radio Row a week before. Hey, just go to Vegas.
On your way,
pop over to Vegas, down to Peoria, and get us some Super Bowl Media Day content from opening night.
I'm telling you, I'm not good at it. So I just try not to post a lot of content like that. Big fan of the retweet. I'm a big fan of the retweet really good content and make my own snarky comment on top of it. That's really my wheelhouse.
All right, for legal purposes, I'm going to pause for a moment.
Okay.
Now I'll tell you, big game coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by Solo Stove. Feel the heat of the world's most popular smokeless fire pit. Visit them today at solostove.com. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming
so
now.
The Super Bowl, what a lame week.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be a good game.
I think it's gonna be a great
I
game.
can't wait
But
to watch the
today
game.
is Tuesday. The game is on Sunday.
It is too much, man. It is too
And between
much.
now and Sunday, it's going to be a slog
We've got
to get there.
I don't even know what channel this is, but we're watching Vegas Sports Insider Network on TV in the studio here, and they did it all day yesterday, all day today.
It's the
They're
worst
just,
content
They're
of the
just
year.
looking at the lines. It's +2.
It's the worst.
It hasn't changed. Nothing has happened.
It's the
and they're
worst
going to do this
content.
for 3 more days, and then they're going to have weekend shows on Saturday.
But you
They're
know,
gonna-
Daily coach press conferences in which they are asked the very same questions by the same reporters every single day. Andy Reid will say something. Kyle Shanahan will say nothing. I mean, it'll happen every single day. Then they'll do it on Friday where they're wearing suits at the big official coaches press conference when they'll ask, they get the same questions that they got the previous days. It is the most redundant, overplayed, pointless week of the sports calendar. By far. I mean, like by far. But the game should be good on Sunday.
the game should be spectacular. The national championship game. I mean, that's what you live for. And I'm sure it's as big of a slog for those guys as it is for the viewer. I do want to put myself in their shoes. I mean, if it's a Game 7 for the San Diego Padres, I mean, Adam Klug, he doesn't even have any hair. He would grow hair. He would be so, like...
Yeah, but that's like 48 hours max.
After game
that's
6.
right. After
yeah,
game
it's
6. It would
probably
be
24 hours
24
after game
hours,
6.
but
That's fine.
You'd get nonstop.
That's fine. You'd be breaking down game 6. You'd be looking into game 7. We've already done all that with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's true.
You've had a week already to talk about this matchup.
Do you think they should just go
Yes.
the next week?
The next day.
The next day! Oh, my God, we just won the AFC. We're going to the Super Bowl games tomorrow at
I'm
noon.
going to hop on a
Yeah.
plane.
It's the reason they do it is not logistics. They want the media coverage because they do. They get, Derek
24/7.
Stevens from Circus Sports talking about their content, their product for an hour on TV right now, even though they're not playing anything.
Yep.
It's free essentially. They get free week of media coverage. The entire country gets to be obsessed with them. Why wouldn't? Why they're probably thinking about maybe we make it 3 weeks and we just extend this thing another week of hype because there's nothing else to talk about right now.
Tony in the chat says, yes, the Super Bowl is lame. We know. We're not saying that. The game's going to be great. I can't wait to sit my ass on the couch and watch this game on Sunday. On Sunday. It's the Super Bowl hype and the Super Bowl week that is overrated or lame.
No doubt. There's no doubt about it. Changing gears just a little bit. We did it in the open. Wanted to say happy birthday to my son, Bo, again. You know what he requested this morning on his birthday for his birthday breakfast? 2 things.
Kraft taco?
Not Kraft Taco.
Okay, I'll tell you about that in a second.
He requested waffles. He wanted waffles, and he wanted to watch White Men Can't Jump. His favorite.
Like most 6-year-olds
Like
do. on
most
their birthday.
6-year-olds do on their birthday, wanted to watch White Men Can't Jump. So that's what he is currently doing. I'm going to scoop him up from school here in a couple hours. So
If you're looking for some food, maybe for Sunday, Don't Do This was brought to you by the Kraft Taco in Sorrento Valley. The Kraft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thekrafttaco.com. Look at their happy hour specials today, thekrafttaco.com. Did we have a Tier 1 who was tagging us at the Kraft Taco yesterday?
I think that was one of the
Was that
people,
one of the actual Kraft Taco people? Oh, very exciting. I can't wait to get out there. Have
What
not
is
been
a
there
quail?
yet.
Yeah, what is it?
What is a quahaw?
What is a quahaw? What is a quail?
What is a quail?
It's the best. It's just the greatest movie.
That was one that you made me watch that I had not watched.
I'm blown away.
And I did actually enjoy it. It was better than I expected.
How did you, Joe Sports, go through your entire life.
That's one of the absolute best sports movies of all time.
I dismissed it as soon as I saw Woody Harrelson as a basketball player. I go, this is dumb.
He's good.
But he was good. He was
better than Wesley Snipes.
Much better than I expected him to be. It surprised me
Billy Ho.
that the basketball wasn't so bad as to be make distracting for the movie. And
the all-time leading rebounder in pro basketball history. Still. Gloria?
Who is Babe Ruth?
No, I'm sorry. That is wrong. Richard or Leonard? Richard.
She's not very good. Chamberlain.
You are correct. You get to pick again.
Wait, Ruth?
Foods that start with the letter Q is the greatest. It's the greatest. The guy's next to her looking at her, and she's just cling.
Oh, Billy, is that stupid?
I love it. Yeah.
Rosie Perez.
Yeah, it blows my mind that you never saw that one. As much as you like sports. You're watching Golden
There's many
Girls.
Sports movies that
like what
I haven't probably gotten.
Did you
to
watch
over the
Friday Night
years.
Lights?
Yes.
Okay, that was great. Rewatched it with Bo last night, actually.
Although, who was it that called me out? Oh, Wale called me out because I have not seen Meet the Titans.
Remember the
Titans
Oh.
in so long. I saw it when
Oh,
it
you
first
did?
came out in the theater, but I haven't rewatched it once. That's the
saw it once.
That's Denzel
Yeah,
as the
I saw
coach.
it one time. That's it.
I saw it just the
That's
one
fantastic.
time.
It's my
But he
favorite
knew all the
football movie.
lines. He was like, "How do you not know all this is sports?" I saw it once in the theater. It was good, but
Baseball movies far superior to basketball movies.
Agree.
And football movies.
Agree.
I think, and it's not just because I'm a baseball fan. I think that's kind of like that movie. What was the Oliver Stone football movie with?
Any Given Sunday.
Oh my God! What a horrendous piece of crap.
Not good.
I'll watch it, but it was a horrendous piece of garbage. That movie, terrible. The awful helmets with the chess pieces on them. Like, can we not? Like, even Major League found a way to use at the time the Indians, and they had real teams in there. They had terrible teams. It's awful.
I like The Replacements.
That's pretty decent.
It's funny.
But it's also pretty goober.
They also have the Washington Sentinels
Yep.
playing the Dallas Cowboys.
Right, playing the Dallas
So
Cowboys.
like, what are we doing
it's
here?
Football movies are kind
Licensing is weird.
All right, here's a fairly hot take. Maybe you'll agree. I don't really like The Natural.
I'm with you.
Other than the music.
It's not in my top 5 baseball movies.
I like that part, but
It's a little bit slow.
slow. Yes, it's slow.
It's a little slow. The baseball scenes are great. I'll tell you this, Robert Redford, not that great a swing.
No,
not that great.
No,
a
the
swing at all.
cutaway when he hits the home run. It's not even close to believable.
No, it's not that a great actor.
It's not even close.
Tim Robbins looked like he never threw a baseball in Bull Durham, but it works for some reason.
Because it was funny. It was a funny movie. It made it work.
Yeah, Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down, couldn't throw a ball. They said they tried to train Danny McBride to throw a ball for months, and then finally they just said, forget it. Forget it.
Major League's a comedy, but the baseball's pretty good.
Damn good.
Pretty good in Major League.
Yep, 100%.
Charlie Sheen can throw it.
He can chuck it.
And Pedro Serrano
could swing. Willie Mays Hayes,
State Farm guy, he could swing it.
It looks like he knew what he was doing. It's greatness, great movie.
That was good baseball, and that makes a difference.
It does
for me.
It does. Me too.
If the sports is not at least close to believable, it's distracting.
Well, that's why White Man Can't Jump was great because those guys could hoop. I mean,
and that's
really
what surprised me about the
movie.
movie. I just assumed the sports are going to be terrible. I'm not going to like this.
I'm trying to think of basketball movies. You don't see a ton of bad they look like they're hooping.
That freaking Adam Sandler movie that they had on Netflix had that one guy that would look like the best basketball player I'd ever seen, and apparently he was in the G Leagues or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never seen anything like this. It was like Michael Jordan to me. It was incredible. I know it's the movies. I can't remember the name of that movie, but it was pretty good. The Recruit or something. But it was pretty solid movie.
Love Coach Carter. Love
Coach
basketball.
Carter's great. Yeah, basketball movies are pretty solid. Football movies leave a little to be desired.
All right, we got Ruben Niebla at the bottom of the hour. Aztecs have a big game tonight. When we come back, Brian Dutcher, is he Lou Holtzing it tonight, or is there reason to be concerned about a game in which the Aztecs are double-digit favorites? We'll get to that coming up after a check of traffic. Do not go anywhere. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, I fully recognize the company I'm in this room. I was looking at our YouTube chat. It was going crazy during the break with sports movies.
Yeah.
Thinking about football movies, there was one that just didn't do anything for me.
Say it.
It's not Meet the Titans either.
Yeah, Meet the Titans.
Haven't seen that one.
And Remember the Parents, two of my favorites.
Whatever.
I wasn't a huge fan of Rudy.
Oh my God! Come on, what a story! The great Rudy Rudiger, against all odds.
Come on.
Ben, were you a Rudy fan?
That was about Ohio State.
Doesn't do a
walk-on.
ton for
You wouldn't
me
have
either.
cared.
Doesn't do a ton for me. I prefer Thursday Night Lights, the shortest yard.
Yeah, Thursday Night Lights, shortest yard, exactly.
Any given Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Rudy was fantastic. I keep asking Bo if he wants to watch it, and he doesn't. So maybe that tells you something. Because I think it's on Netflix right now, and I'm like, hey, we should watch Rudy. It's about Notre Dame. He's like, no, I'm good. I've been to Notre Dame before. I was like, okay, fine by me. That's why I went to college. The place where Rudy was grinding it out, Holy Cross College. That's where I went. I also got on my feet there. Did not get into Notre Dame, but
You know, football movie was probably terrible, but I strangely liked it. Was Draft Day
I loved Draft Day
with Kevin Costner.
And who was the female?
It was oh God, why am I
Oh,
blanking
it
on
was
her name?
was Jennifer Connelly?
No.
Who was it?
Jesus.
Look it up. Somebody tell us.
Why am I? Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner.
That's
Yeah,
Jennifer
it worked out almost too well though, because he made a huge. I mean,
All
just
these perfect moves.
stupid,
It would never happen.
Stupid move to start out with, and you're never gonna dig yourself out from that bad mood. I mean, you're fired as GM. It's done. Right there. I don't know how he possibly extricated himself from that situation in that movie.
Yeah, it was brilliant though how it all worked out. Oh, TJ with an old school pool Wildcats with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson back in the day. I think Woody was in that movie. Old school movie. Do you ever see the one The Best of Times with Kurt Russell and Robin Williams? Just incredible.
Robin Williams did a sports movie.
He did. He was a receiver that dropped.
Wow.
He dropped the pass in high school that would have won them like this huge game. And his whole life, he can't get over the fact that it hit him right in the hands. His whole life he's haunted by this memory. He stayed in the same town. Kurt Russell was the quarterback, and they recreate the game to get the moment. They want to get the moment back. And you can guess how it ends.
Now I'm just trying to think of like
good.
random actors in sports movies.
Robin
Like
Williams playing a receiver.
Matthew McConaughey was an outfielder in Angels in the Outfield.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's
Didn't
like
know
the
that.
center fielder.
We Are Marshall is a great football movie.
Ryan
Will make you
Gosling was a
weep.
mid cornerback in Remember the Titans.
That's right. Oh, I love that movie. Go check. I think you'd like Best of Times. It's from our era.
I've never even heard of that one,
That's
so
great.
that was surprising. All right, let's just talk a little bit. Tonight, the Aztecs will put their newly found number 24 ranking in the country on the line as they visit Air Force. And the bad news with that is every time the Aztecs have been ranked this season, they've lost.
Yes.
3 weeks, 3 losses each time. They've fallen back out of the top 25. So they are favored by around 9.5 points
I got
tonight.
10, yeah.
10.5. I've seen it right around there over Air Force. And Brian Dutcher was pretty clear. Like, we still consider this. It's a road game. It's altitude. It's Colorado Springs. We have to steal one. We go in. It's essentially an upset.
Now they're 8-13. The Air Force Falcons.
And they have lost 11 of their last 12 games. They have not won a single home game in conference play. So they're definitely beatable. But what has Brian Dutcher worried and may concern Aztecs fans a little bit is the one win out of those last 12. It was 2 weeks ago. It was at UNLV, which is not at the top, but they're right in the middle of the conference, and they've had some big wins. They won by 32 at UNLV. So they certainly have the ability on any given Tuesday to get really hot and make some shots and cause problems. And Air Force is always a tough scout. They do that slow down, 4 corners offense that can be difficult, especially when you only have 2 days to prepare for it, which the Aztecs have only had 2 days, Sunday, Monday, to get ready for tonight's game. They did charter their flight to get there and have a little extra time practice yesterday, although I saw even the charter was delayed a couple of hours by the weather. So get there a little bit later. That can be sometimes the recipe for trouble on the road in the Mountain West Conference, but we talked about the formula for winning the league. You hold serve at home, and you've got to beat all the lower-ranked teams in your conference, including San Jose State, Fresno State, and Air Force, and this is your only game against Air Force, and then you got to steal one or two against the top teams on the road. They haven't stolen any against a top team on the road, but they haven't lost against any of the bottom teams, and they haven't lost at home. So far, they're still there, but this is one of those games like if you lose, you can't really make up for it later in the season. So you got to win this one tonight at Air Force.
Got to handle business. They're going all out, by the way, at Air Force. Did you see? They're tweeting, pack the house tomorrow night.
Every time the Aztecs come to any of these places.
That's right.
They get the toughest environment possible.
It is tropical night.
Tropical night in Colorado Springs in February.
It is. A free food for cadets while supplies last, and a tropical shirt giveaway for all fans.
They're kind of dreaming on better weather at this point.
Yeah, probably being in Colorado Springs, but yeah, it's going to be, it's a road game in the Mountain West, Benny. It's going to be tough sledding, but that's a team that you should absolutely dominate, even at altitude.
I'm always surprised when Air Force has a decent team. This year, I think they're 244th in the net rankings, but they don't admit people who are over, what is it, like 6'6" or 6'7" because of the cockpit regulations to, the size. You can't really fit in some of the aircraft, so there's certain height restrictions they have to join the Air Force, which means for a basketball team, you're always going to be undersized in college basketball. There's just no way to necessarily compete against the 6'10", 6'11" guys that you're going to have rebounding in other schools. So they're always going to be a little bit behind other teams. But they've had some good years, and they've got a good coach and a good team that's been around for a while, and they've given plenty of Mountain West teams problems over the years.
They must win.
Another must win.
Or prefer
if you
to win.
want to
you
win,
prefer to win?
Again, if you want to win the regular season conference title, it's a must win. And if you want to keep your record spotless when it comes to no bad losses, they have no quad 2, 3, or 4 losses. This would be a quad 4, I think even on the road, maybe 3 or 4 for a team ranked this low. That's a black mark on your record. Right now, because the Aztecs have 0 black marks, they're 3-5 in quad 1 games, but undefeated in the rest. Probably going to get a 5 or a 6 seed. If they lost one of these games, all of a sudden you're looking more like an 8 seed, which then means you got to play a 1 seed in the second round. Even if you get through the first round, you'd much rather be a 5 or a 6 seed. You got to avoid losses in games like this.
Sounds must-winish.
To help you in March and have a better road. What were the Aztecs seeded last March? Anyone remember?
What were they seeded?
5.
5.
And made it to the national championship.
God, still
game.
had some tough-ass opponents, though.
Well, as a 5, you got to play a 1 seed in the third round, and they did, and they beat Alabama.
Won.
But they also got helped by some upsets along the way that they didn't have to face a couple of the tougher teams.
It was like an 8 and a 4 seed or something.
They got the second round was an upset, so they faced, instead of the 4 seed, they faced the 13 seed
13
in the second round. And then after Alabama, they ended up against Creighton, who was like an 8 seed, and then Florida Atlantic, who I think was a 9 seed in the Final Four. So they had plenty of help
out
along
really
the way.
well for the Aztecs.
I can't wait for the picks. Make my son pick them again, and he picked all the upsets last year. Remember that?
Let's break because we got Ruben Niebla scheduled to join us when we come back. About 5 minutes away. Padres pitching coach will be with us next on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Woods, why don't we just get right to it?
Let's do it.
Joining us live right now on Ben and Woods is the pitching coach of the San Diego Padres heading into his third season, the pride of Calexico, California. Ruben Niebla is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Ruben, it's great to have you back on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
It was great to see you yesterday. I must say, the biomechanics lab, the ribbon cutting ceremony, and then getting to see exactly what the Padres and PLNU have been working on over these past couple of years was very, very impressive. Just give me some of your thoughts on yesterday and this new tool that the Padres will have at their disposal now.
Well, we're excited about the partnership with Point Loma University. It's exciting to be able to say that we can take some of our guys in there and get them assessed and look at their body movements and learn more about them. But I think most importantly is being able to show the guys a little bit of who they are and for them to have an idea of what they're capable of doing, where their limitations might be, what to focus on in the weight room to overcome some of these limitations. So it's pretty exciting, just the whole thing. I thought the ribbon cutting, ceremony was awesome. The rain held off and we had a good time.
And I always wonder, Ruben, like how because there's going to be guys that are maybe, and I don't want to say resistant to it, but maybe need a little bit more pushing and prodding. And then there's going to be guys that want to be in there probably every day, working on something and overanalyzing. How challenging is that for you to manage? Because you got quite a lot of arms to manage.
Yeah, no, I think having a level of understanding of how you can utilize the lab is probably the most important thing. It's not something that you can, just go in there and see changes happen immediately. There's you assess your body, you assess your movements, you assess your kinetic chain, your ground force reactions, and then you work on those. And then you continue to strive on getting to the mound and me as a coach being able to cue that and say, hey, in the lab, we would notice that your lead leg bracing was a little off. Let's work on that. Let's work on that in the weight room. And so you want to see, through time, you want to see improvement. A lot of the other stuff that was there at the lab, the TrackMan use and the ability to pitch design and stuff like that, that we have at Petco.
Sure.
So we're able to see that. We're able to do that there. And, it's almost one of those things where, you do it 3-4 times a year, and that should be enough. And I think educating the players on that is important as well.
That's what I was kind of wondering about. Was obviously you've had a lot of pitchers coming through just in recent weeks, and getting recorded and have a baseline for what everyone looks like. Will this be something that maybe once or twice during the season, a starting pitcher may go their bullpen session, if you're at home, may go to PLNU just to, see that everything's going okay, or if there's been any changes since the last time they were there?
Yes, that's exactly it. And ideally what you're doing is you're doing it at the front end of the season, which we just did here a couple of weeks ago. You do it again midway through, and then you do it again at the end of the season and see where you are at that point. And where that baseline is ending the season, whether you're able to identify fatigue or a lot of our pitchers ended up in a pretty good spot last year where they were pitching at their best. And so you want to be able to use that as a baseline coming into spring training the next year. So once you get those baselines covered, it'll give you a better understanding of two things. Going into the off season, what do I need to work on? Or going into spring training, what am I going to focus on? And then we can keep tabs and keep players lined up to their goals.
It really is fascinating stuff. Talking to Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla here on Ben and Woods this morning. And, you work for an organization and a GM that is constantly looking to improve that bullpen, Ruben. So with every transaction that comes across, what is your kind of process, right? So Padres go out and they sign Woo-Suk Go. And so now, do you go back and dig through video? Do you what is your process when the Padres add a new arm that you're going to have to get ready to be up to speed?
So a lot of times we're having those conversations internally before we sign them about guys that AJ might be interested in. He'll get the opinion of many people, and a lot of times I'll, want to or go. Let's say, for example, I knew that there was conversations and possibilities, before it happened, and so I had already dug into him, look at his pitch usage, pitch metrics, just delivery, where he's failed, where he's had success with what pitches, the percentage of usage, and those are the things that you can just very easily dig into in our system. And then, the big part is getting to meet him and talk to him and get to know what kind of person he is. And that's the stuff that I'm really looking forward to coming into spring training.
Talking about some of the guys who came in from the New York Yankees who will be part of the starting pitching mix, give us your thoughts on what you've seen so far from Michael King, who seems like he's going to figure prominently for the Padres this season, and then some of the other guys, Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez, even maybe Drew Thorpe, some of the newcomers, what you've seen already.
Yeah, I've been lucky to spend some time with all those guys already. I've seen Michael King throw in the lab. I've seen him throw live, in our bullpen at Petco. So, very impressive, person. It seems like this guy's going to fit right into to a leadership role. We're hoping that he steps in and not to put that on him, but we know that he's capable and he has some attributes to be a leader. He's obviously had a lot of success, coming here in the bullpen, and we're looking forward to seeing what he's capable of doing on the mound and rolling lineups over. And, as a starter, it's going to be a little bit more challenges, but it seems like he's going to be up for it. Brito and Vasquez their stuff is electric. They got really good stuff. Those guys, again, our scouting department did a great job identifying some guys that, have good upside. And those guys are just showing their face into the major league world, per se. And so we're also looking forward to seeing those guys and see what they're capable of doing, with their opportunities now. It seemed like when they were in New York, it was getting opportunities here and there. They broke into the big leagues as relievers, got an opportunity to start, but they really it was out of default, and so now they're getting a real opportunity here to come in, showcase what they're capable of doing, and we're going to be paying close attention to see how they can help us. And the same with Drew Thorpe. I mean, that guy was impressive. The numbers that he put up in the minor leagues, those are real, and another guy that we're excited about.
Talking to Ruben Niebla here on Ben and Woods this morning, Padres pitching coach, I saw how proud you were of Blake Snell. And Blake Snell is obviously a fan favorite and, certainly would love to have a guy like Blake Snell back. What did you unlock in Blake Snell last year? Got off to a little bit of a slow start, and then, next thing you know, doesn't let up a run for it seemed like 6 months, wins a Cy Young. I saw how proud you were of him. What were those conversations like? And also, you take a lot of pride in that, and I'm sure that gives you a little bit of a chance to puff your chest out as well and say, yeah, I helped him do that. But tell us a little bit about your relationship with Blake.
Well, I think that's why, you and I seem proud, or I am proud. It's because of the person that Blake is. I mean, he's a beautiful person. He's awesome. And so our relationship just kind of grew within time. And, this year it was a little bit different because he did get off to that start where, it wasn't something that we were expecting. The previous year he came out in spring training, if you guys recall, he had that groin injury. Yep. So it took him a while to kind of get going, but he finished on a strong note in 22. I mean, in the playoffs, he was one of our better pitchers there. So, this year he got off to a little bit of a slow start. And one of the things that I noticed in him is that, a little bit of anxieties when he would walk guys. There was more conversation based around that, it seemed like, after he evaluated his games with me. The next day, that I was like, Blake, you keep talking about these walks. I go, but I don't see those guys scoring. And as we know, I think it was 14 walks scored the whole year. And so that's an incredible number. And so I think once that started happening, where he was like, okay, I'm going to walk a guy. Yes, I get it. I understand that. But the key to this game is for the opponent to score runs. And that's what Blake was really good at. And he was the best in baseball at not allowing the opponent to score runs. And I think it kind of relaxed him a little bit to be able to say, you know, even though he's at first base, it doesn't matter. Like, my stuff is still good enough to be able to get this guy out or the next guy out, or it doesn't matter who's up there. And so that was one of the things. I think another thing is, yes, there was some delivery stuff that we might have been able to unlock there. You know, the usage was huge. Bringing back the changeup, the usage of the changeup was huge. I think that was a pitch that really got him out of situations, out of trouble when he needed that pitch. If we look at the usage of that pitch, it was like 3-1 counts, 2-0 counts, even 3-2 counts that he was throwing it in, and he was getting out. He was having success with that pitch, and really ended up leaning on that pitch and finding confidence in that pitch. And I think those things are what made it happen last year. But again, I'm extremely happy for Blake, and you know, what's ahead of him, and you know, hopefully it doesn't hurt us too much.
We remember when the changeup was in timeout.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was being misbehaving and was being punished. Ruben Niebla is with us. Speaking of relationships, obviously Mike Schilt is not new to you or the organization. He's been around the last couple of years. But how does that change for a pitching coach with a new manager? Have you had some philosophical conversations and, you know, anything that might differ from the way that Bob Melvin went about, you know, managing a pitching staff?
We'll see. I think we are, Mike and I have had a lot of conversations this off season. We've had many meetings where we've sat down and talked about it as a staff, as a group. But you don't really know until you get in the game, and you start seeing how he functions, how he's thinking. I know that I prepare. I'm going to prepare the same way to be able to give suggestions on some of the matchups. Understanding our pitchers and what they're capable of doing, and possibly what creates the best matchup. But ultimately, it's going to be his decision. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am. There's a little bit of a different personality there, and so I think his personality and my personality match up a little bit more. I think there's a little bit more fire there, so it's going to be a learning experience for both of us. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a good marriage.
That's great to hear. Talking to Ruben Niebla here on Ben and Woods this morning. Can you speak a little bit, Ruben, about your relationship with the catchers? Because, as you have to learn all of these pitchers and what they're capable of and get everything out of them, your catchers have to do the same thing. And I know we all enjoyed the strides that we saw from Luis Campusano last year. Of course, Ethan Salas is shooting up the rankings of top prospects, and I know you've talked to Ethan as well. Talk a little bit about the relationship you have with those guys and managing your pitchers.
Well, they're the coach on the field. They've always said the catchers are the coach on the field. So I literally treat them like that. I literally, lean on those guys to be able to manage a game, to be able to think the game, to be able to discuss situations with pitchers. There's times when I literally pull the catcher and say, like, let's get this guy to do this a little bit more, and he goes and he takes care of that. And Austin Nola was great at that. We saw that in Gary Sanchez, a little bit more ownership that we were able to give him, and he took great strides forward, I think, calling game. But Campusano has been the one that, a couple years ago, I was like, whoa, he's definitely a guy that has a lot of potential. This guy it just needs a little bit more time in getting back there and getting to know his guys and getting to know the game. And we do have a little bit of an attack plan that might be a little bit unique compared to other teams, but being able to teach what we talk about effective velocity, about tunneling pitches, about attacking weaknesses, about knowing strengths, about knowing situations. That's the stuff that we talk about, and Campusano has embraced that, and he's really helped the staff when he's out there. And it's just a similar constant with Salas. That's the stuff that we're already talking to him about. And there's something about Salas, though. He carries himself, definitely not like a 17-year-old. Very confident young man, very smart young man. We're just looking forward for him to keep improving, keep learning, and when the opportunity is there for him, we're pretty confident that he's going to take advantage of it. So, it's going to be exciting watching that young man play.
Well, Ruben, we really appreciate your time. Look forward. We'll see you out there. We'll be in spring training in a couple of weeks. I know you're going out here in a matter of just days. I do have some bad news for you, though. I'm looking through. We got hundreds of people in our chat, and they're all going, "This was fantastic. We need to hear more from Ruben Niebla this season." So now we're going to have you on a lot more this season. Just get ready for that. I know it's busy. Once the season starts, you're going to have to carve out some time for us.
No, let's do it anytime. Yeah. Hey, yesterday I got to apologize though. Woods did want to get in on the Labau Mechanical Lab on the mound. He was asking me bring in the righty. He was pointing at himself. Yeah. I really did need a Tommy John situation on my hands at that point, and I apologize.
He wanted to show you his 74-mile-an-hour fastball.
Ben, if I could throw 74, I'd kick somebody in the face to be able to throw 74 anymore.
His 63-mile-an-hour fastball is what he really wanted to show off.
Yeah, well, maybe another time if you can carve out 20 minutes, we'll get down there and get some work in.
Thanks, Ruben.
Let's do it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Ruben Niebla, pitching coach for the San Diego Padres. That's fantastic.
He's awesome.
React to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Getting a little reprieve from the rain, but we are still left with some very slick roadways, a lot of flooding, a lot of closures due to flooding. Hey, if you're going to be in the Mission Valley area, do keep in mind Mission Center Road closed between Hazard Center and Camino de la Reina, both directions. Qualcomm Way from Camino del Rio North to Rio San Diego Drive, and San Diego Mission Road from Fairmont to Rancho Mission Road, both directions. So yeah, if you are in the Mission Valley area, just be prepared for some delays, traffic diversions. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ooh, a lot to get into. Ruben Niebla, I saw you commenting that you are extra fired up after hearing him talk.
I'm back. I'm just gassed up, man.
And again, if he came on and Michael King, okay.
All right.
New guys. We'll see. You're going to get the best of the optimism at this point. It's February. Spring training starts in a couple of days.
He doesn't sound like a big BSer, though.
No, that's true.
He didn't sound like he was blowing any smoke, talking about the upside of some of the arms that are in the organization. And look, you'd hope you have some arms with some upside in the organization, after everything that they've done and all the moves that they've made. I know he's excited to get his hands in the clay out there at spring training. I loved what he said about him and Schilt. I love that answer. We'll see. We'll see.
He did notice how itching you were to get out and throw a couple yesterday.
Dying to get on that thing, man. Dying to get on there just to see how ugly my biomechanics, how crap
spin rates and everything. Have you never thrown with a TrackMan or anything like that?
Never
before?
Once.
Yeah, it looked fun.
I could just see him. So what pitch was that? That was my fastball.
That was my heater. That was 61 miles an hour, buddy. Yeah. That's all you got.
Was that a change up? No, that was his fastball. I love John Candy and Brewster's Millions. That was change up? No, that was his fastball.
That's his fastball.
All right, we'll come back. A couple more thoughts. Paulie's got some headlines in the Reindl Report. All in our final hour of Ben & Woods next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog. Our thanks again to Ruben Niebla, pitching coach for the San Diego Padres, who just gave us a good chunk of time in our last segment and got us hyped up for the start of Padres season coming up here. And as I said, I expected optimism, so nothing was too shocking. But one thing that stood out to me, Woods, is I was expecting the raving about Michael King and his stuff when he described Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez and really kind of took some time to go, these guys' stuff, this is electric. He was very excited about those two. And I know they weren't just throw-ins in the trade, that they're promising players, but I don't know that I've heard that level of excitement about those two guys in particular. It was always King and Thorpe, dreaming on the future on Thorpe, and King right now into the rotation. And the other two guys, maybe, they could be bullpen or starters. They'll compete for starting job. He was like, now, these guys, they may be young and only have a little taste of the major leagues, but these guys have really electric stuff that he seems excited about.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because he said essentially, those guys got a chance to start a little bit, and it was by necessity. But it sounds, again, and I think, with more than one position on the San Diego Padres, Ben, I think there's going to be some level of competition. People that are slotting in, Avila and Matt Waldron into the 4 and 5. I don't know. I think there could be some surprises that come out of camp. And it sounded to me, like Ruben was saying, no, here's a couple other guys that maybe we want to look at as stretching out to be starters. I could be, talking out of my rear end, but
no. The Padres have said that both Brito and Vasquez are going to camp as starters to begin with, and that may change as needs change or as other guys compete and prove themselves. But they will be getting starts or at least opening camp on whatever the path that starters are on. 2 innings, then 3 innings, then 4 innings, stretching out to start games.
There is a confidence that Ruben Niebla has that I greatly, greatly admire. He's a man that knows what he's doing. Right? He doesn't waffle. He has an idea, and it seems like he's the kind of guy that you would absolutely die to play for. And I just wonder, with Blake Snell, I wonder how much he'll lean on Ruben Niebla next year, wherever Blake ends up, right? Like, I think what he did for him after a slow start and a couple of seasons of slow starts with the San Diego Padres, man, you do wonder if Blake Snell, if that's crept into his mind of like, man, I could stay here and keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know that the Padres have the money to afford him. But
I wonder how hard it is for a pitcher who's had success, who then signs somewhere else as a free agent and then starts to struggle. The instinct will be, God, I wish I could just call my old pitching coach.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
He works for another team.
I'm sure you could.
You could,
yeah,
but
I'm sure it happens all the time. Bro, they said that Mariano Rivera used to show all the guys the cutter at the All-Star game.
Yeah, but
he's showing Roy Halladay how to throw a cutter.
That's a
their division rivals.
That's a pitcher fraternity, though. This is a coach for the Padres. If Blake signed with the Giants, he was struggling early in the season, and he goes, Ruben, my new pitching coach, it's just he doesn't understand me. I don't get it. Do you have any idea what's going on wrong with me? And Ruben's like, yeah, I've kind of seen the video. Do you say that or not say that to an opponent?
They're all, it's a fraternity. All big leaguers are a fraternity.
I feel like you don't.
I think you do.
At least you wait until the end of the season, maybe. You go, like in the off season, you can
talk
say,
to you in
here's what
November.
I said. I'll talk to you in October or November after the season's done. But you can't say that one thing that may turn around an opponent. I mean, what if that is the difference that causes them to win 2 or 3 more games?
I think you're overthinking it a little bit.
I'm not overthinking this. This is sports. It's a fractional difference.
Yeah, it's sports, but this happens all the time. All the time. All the time. They're the fraternity. It's not the laundry they wear, to be honest with you, Ben. It's the fraternity of ball players and coaches.
I disagree somewhat. I know what you're saying, that there is a fraternity that goes beyond simply team loyalty at any given moment. But hey, if winning a World Series, going to the playoffs, all these things bring success and riches and new contracts to players and coaches. And the other teams are trying to stop you from getting that. And during a season, why would you do anything that might stop your own team and your own players and your own coaching staff, from reaping those rewards of success? by helping another team.
Adam in the chat says coaches don't do this. That would be undermining another coach. I mean, I don't think
I'm not
go
saying
out of your way
no,
to
but
do
if player calls an old coach with another team,
yeah, I think it happens all the time.
Really, during a season?
Yeah, I think it happens all the time. All the time. I bet you it happens all the time in the big leagues. That'd be a good question for Tony Gwynn Jr. to answer. I never played in the big leagues, but you know.
And the same thing would go with like a hitter and an old hitting coach.
100%.
George kind of says it the opposite way. Like when Ruben came here to San Diego from Cleveland, do you think Guardians pitchers that he worked with are still reaching out to him? I would say almost certainly.
Does it make a difference if they're on a different league, on a different side of the country, whether it's a team like in your division?
Well, the other thing too is you never know. You never know when your paths may cross again, or your crafts may pass.
I don't think you're not going to mislead him with bad tips necessarily. Like, this is
I'll
tell him the absolute wrong thing.
He's not going to call Blake in on an off day and be like, let's dig in here. No, but he's going to say, no, I mean, you're rushing a little bit, or don't forget you got good stuff.
I don't know that you say anything if you're for another team. I really don't.
Ed says if I were Niebla, I would tell him to F himself. Hey, go F yourself.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not. It's not hostility. Just saying like I can't help you, man. I can't.
You are so petty. And
it's not petty.
It's weird.
It's a little petty.
It's weird.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in the chat who agree with me.
I know. There's
Landers,
3 people that
can't give the
with
opponent an edge no matter how small. Huh. Interesting. Speaking of coaches, the other thing that stood out, and I don't think this is piling on Bob Melvin after he's gone, because I don't see any reason to do that. I don't blame Bob Melvin for last season, but Ruben isn't the first person who has pointed out a personality difference between Mike Schilt and Bob Melvin, and perhaps a fiery, more intense personality than Bob, who is now kind of being painted as the most laid-back guy in the history of baseball in the Padres dugout last season. I don't think that was the case either, but there's going to be some contrast this year.
Yeah.
In the dugout with the manager of the Padres.
Yep. I'm all for it. I mean, I was a big Bob Melvin fan. I am a big Bob Melvin fan. But I think this team desperately needs a little bit of fire. Desperately. I mean, as desperate can be. And if Mike Schilt is that guy, I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it, and hopefully it rubs off on some of his players as well. I think, being a team that has a little bit of an edge to it is a good thing. It's a good thing. And if Mike Schult's the guy to bring that here, bro, I'm going to be the first guy waving the banner for Mike Schilt, if that's the case. And, I loved his answers. I thought he did a great job, and looking forward to seeing what he can do when he gets out to spring training. And, you just hope everybody comes through spring training healthy and gives him the ultimate package to work with this season. Because I'll tell you, everyone keeps talking about, all the innings that they have to replace. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Losing Lugo, Waka, and Blake Snell. Those are a lot of innings you have to figure out. Ruben's going to have to do a little bit of goodwill hunting on the board. You know what I mean? To get it all to even out. So the more arms he has to work with, the better it's going to be. Would still love to see them go out and get, you mentioned Jacob Junis earlier, somebody of that caliber, of Hyunjin Ryu, somebody that can eat some innings. As we talked to Chris Rose a month or so ago about the Lucas Giolito deal. Yeah, it's at this point in the big league, sometimes they're like, can he eat innings? He can. Great. Let's give him $14 million to go out and eat innings and hope he does well. It's a valuable thing to have. And we only have really two guys that you can potentially count on for bigger innings this year.
Paul, you're okay holding off on the round report for a couple of minutes here. I thought his answer about your question on the bullpen new additions was interesting. And, part of the process that AJ goes through is consulting with people, including Ruben, before you sign a Wandy Peralta. And you kind of go through and what you've seen. And, Ruben, I'm sure Ruben doesn't have to sign off on any signing that AJ Preller makes, but it sounds like Ruben, if he gives his stamp of approval, that's a big thing for AJ Preller. And it sounds like Wandy Peralta is one guy who got, the stamp of approval from Ruben Niebla as they were going through it and looked at the pitchers coming over from Japan and Korea as well. Matsui, who was there yesterday with Yu Darvish and Ruben Niebla at the biomechanics lab opening. You mentioned Usako and looking at his his film, his tape before they signed him from Korea as well. Sounds like Ruben was intricately involved in all of that offseason process.
Yeah, I like that too. It does give you the picture that it is a collective working behind the scenes to give Ruben the best pieces that they can under the current budget that they have. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how those guys shake out too and what he can do with them.
I know we didn't ask him about it. I know Ruben did get an interview.
Oh, yeah.
For the managerial job with the Padres as well.
We'll ask him next week when he joins us again after you pitched him on it.
Do you see Ruben potentially as a future manager in baseball? You do?
Absolutely.
It's not a ton of pitching coaches go that route. There are some,
Bud
Black has gone that route. Wasn't Tommy Lasorda a pitching coach before he was the manager?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Tommy Lasorda.
But it oftentimes seems like you go bench coach and then you rise, and it's not necessarily pitching coach to manager, but it certainly has happened. And you kind of can see with Ruben's personality that it feels like he could handle that job in the future at some point.
I've seen a lot of Padre fans say that. I completely forgot that he had interviewed for the managerial position. Boy, you'd hate to lose him. And he seems like a guy in just a short time here that has really done an excellent job. A guy that everybody raves about, everybody wants to talk to. He just has that thing. There's a thing that people have. Ruben has it. When he walks in a room, you go, oh, look. I mean, he's just got that thing. He's got it, and has done such a great job so far. Can't wait to see what he does with this crew. I think it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher this year. But if anybody's up to the challenge, I think it's him.
All right. Sometimes I wonder how the Padres landed him. I guess being from Calexico in this area helped.
Daughter goes to San Diego State, so I don't think that hurt either.
Helped wanting to come out here, but I bet the Guardians are still kind of kicking themselves for letting him get away at some point.
Where would you rather live?
I would probably rather be here.
Or
I think
here, yes,
would be my choice.
Mine and yours both.
All right, let's take a timeout. We'll give Paulie the entire next segment for the Rondo Report. Get some headlines. Are you going to do that NBA story?
Yes.
All right, I thought this was very interesting. Some new technology. Since we were already talking about baseball technology, a little new technology coming to the NBA as well. Part of the Rondo Report, which will come up after our check of traffic next here on 97.3 The Fan. and get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Good morning, my friends.
Good morning.
I'm going to start off in the NFL. No Super Bowl news here, but the NFL going to continue their tradition of playing international games, and it was announced yesterday that the Eagles are going to play as the host in the NFL's first regular season game in Brazil, and it's going to be their first game of the season, September 6th. It's a Friday.
Against the Jags.
No opponent,
to
yeah.
be
No
announced.
opponent. It's the Jags. They always make
So
the
the Jags
Jags.
already played
They're
2
like,
games
what?
in London.
So we got to go to London twice, probably playing
Brazil.
in Germany, and
Yeah.
we're going to open the season in Brazil.
Sounds great.
Yeah, they're going to play in Sao Paulo on Friday the 6th, I believe. Yeah, the season kicks off that Thursday night. That's when they always do the first game of the year.
That'll be awesome.
It's going to be electric, I'm sure.
Ever had any interest in going to Rio?
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah, I would go to Brazil.
I don't know why, but I've always felt a strong pull to go see what Rio de Janeiro is like.
I don't feel a large desire to go see an NFL game
No.
while I'm there.
No, absolutely not.
But otherwise, I'd be interested in Rio or Sao Paulo.
yes, as would I.
Yeah.
Why is
So-
that?
It's exotic, different, southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
You know, the
Think I'm into-
toilets flush the other way.
I think I'm into it. When Ben and I were kids, there were a lot of movies about Rio. Rio was a real hot. There was a song called Rio by Duran Duran. It just
Brazilian steakhouses.
Brazilian, yes, steakhouses. That's where I was going.
A good caipirinha. Is that the cocktail that they have?
Don't know.
We have different thoughts about what's drawing us to Brazil, I believe.
Yes, I believe so.
So this will be...
You want to go to Copacabana Beach?
Is it all nude?
I mean, outside of this country,
It's mostly nude.
most beaches
Everyone's
are
nude.
at least
Topless.
semi-nude or topless.
That's true.
We are a little more buttoned up in this country when it comes
a little
to things
more
like that.
stodgy.
But, yeah, you go to the rest of the world, it's not uncommon to
freewheeling.
see naked people on beaches.
I would like this show to be more freewheeling and less stodgy.
Topless.
Okay? Topless shows. It's like we're in Rio. When's that? Next season?
Yeah, it's the first Friday of the season.
First
The
Friday.
Thursday night opener, which
It's
will
going to
be
be a home game for the Eagles, and so we already do know their home opponents based on how the schedule and how everything worked out in the last season. So they will play. It'll either be against the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants,
Won't be a
the
division
Washington
game.
Commanders. Won't be a division
Won't
game.
be a division game.
So it could be the Cleveland Browns, could
Maybe.
be the Atlanta Falcons, could be the Carolina Panthers, the Green Bay Packers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jackson. You know it. Sorry. The chat is saying, yeah, Brazil is absolutely incredible. They said it's incredible. All right. I'm in.
Another Friday night game. We had our first Friday night Amazon Black Friday game last year. Do you think, will this be another Amazon game? Will they be trying to
I
sell
don't
us
know
Christmas
if that-
gifts already in September?
I'm fine with it.
All right, we're going to move to the NBA. Next weekend, I believe, is the NBA All-Star Weekend. We talked about the three-point shootout that Steph Curry is going to do with Sabrina Ionescu.
Yep.
And it's going to be fun, but they're going to ramp it up a little bit the whole weekend because the NBA just announced yesterday that they are going to have a
projecting things. This is not virtual reality. This is basically they're playing on a computer screen. The entire screen is made out of glass.
to see that big game, that dunk contest, three-point shootout.
You thought the in-season tournament was crazy? This is going to be wild.
Design and color changes, live replays, real-time game stats, location-based
The Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw are in agreement on a deal. The physical is on Thursday. Joel Sherman and John Heyman are reporting. It says because the Dodgers-Padres open season 320 and 321 in South Korea, they're beginning spring training earlier, so can put players on the 60-day IL. So he's not expected to return until the second half. So there you go. Dodgers re-signing Clayton Kershaw. Feels right. Good. It's nice to see them get off their ass and make a move. Because they've had a very quiet offseason. Bringing back a guy that I don't think you could let finish his career in another uniform. That would have been weird. He's one of those.
Is it? You mentioned he still had to pass the physical, but obviously he's not going to completely pass the physical. All I can say is he's making progress toward his mid-season return, but clearly he's not ready to throw right now.
Well, and if not, the spending that money on him could totally torpedo the franchise, Ben. With the money that they may waste on Clayton Kershaw. No, I mean, they'll be fine. If he never pitches again, they'll be fine.
They were well over the luxury tax before this move. They will continue to be well over the luxury tax after this move.
Correct. Bodes well for opponents in October, though. I'll say that.
All right, and then my final news here.
No offense.
A little bit of clout chasing didn't work out the way maybe somebody was hoping.
Backfires sometimes on you.
And I guess it's not really clout
Got me.
chasing.
I had to wear a diaper and on the live radio.
Yeah, making a promise on social media
Yeah.
and then having to pay the price.
Really sucks.
A teenager, I believe he's only 16 years old, made an Instagram account. His name is Eli Melky, and he lives in Iowa. So he made a bet where he promised that he would eat a spoonful of peanut butter for every 50 followers that he got.
Okay, 1 spoonful of peanut butter for every 50 followers.
Now, there's spoons come in many different sizes.
Just call it your average middle spoon.
Middle spoon.
The middle
cereal bowl spoon.
I use the big one for cereal.
You do?
I
do.
Yeah. I use the medium one for yogurt. Yes.
But the big one for cereal.
I'm like Zeke Elliott when I eat my cereal. Big old bowl, big old spoon, shoveling it in my mouth.
So he
see, now I'll use the big spoon for a scoop of peanut butter sometimes.
That's fair.
But for cereal, I like to go with the smaller. I like 1 or 2 pieces of cereal, not 4 or 5 pieces of cereal.
Makes sense
per bite.
Eli was not expecting a ton of followers, maybe some friends or family, whatever. Just see what would happen. Here's a little bit of audio from Eli before I tell you exactly how many followers he now has.
All over the internet, they've been doing just certain things for so many followers, and I thought, well, peanut butter's pretty good. I was expecting it kind of as a joke to get, maybe a couple hundred, and then once it got in the thousands, it kept going, and I thought it was funny at first, and then once I realized how much peanut butter I had to eat, then it wasn't much of a joke anymore, and it was a lot of peanut butter.
Don't worry about it. So, Peanut Butter Eater 16 is his Instagram handle. Like I said, 1 spoonful of peanut butter for every 50 followers. He is well over 100,000 followers now.
All right, do the math, Ben.
Well, I did the math. 100,000 divided by 50 would be 2,000 spoonfuls of peanut butter. I just checked the updated. He's at 115,000 divided by 50. He's at 2,300 spoonfuls of peanut butter.
His heart is going to explode.
So there's about 100 calories in 1 spoonful of peanut butter.
I mean, he is a child. This is not
so
gonna go
if you just went with 20 a day, that would be enough for your entire recommended caloric intake for a day.
2,000 calories.
Yeah, that's
how
2,000.
many spoonful does he need?
2,300.
2,300.
So
he could knock this out in 10 days.
No,
100 days.
He'll be about 115 days if he doesn't get any more followers. But that's not if he's not eating anything else and trying to remain in a fairly normal caloric intake. But I don't think man can live on scoops of peanut butter alone.
Oh, yeah, you could. Yeah.
You think you could?
Yeah, it's all you need. It's got everything you're looking for. Protein,
yeah,
carbs, you're good.
Healthy fats.
Yeah. I think his heart's going to explode. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes, though, over that
But you just said it's got everything you do.
It's got everything. I mean, cigarettes have everything you need, too. It's not really good for you. It's the thing I miss most from my former life. No, I think sometimes it does go wrong. He's not going to do it. You can't do it. You don't have. There's not enough hours in the day, I don't think, to How many could you feasibly eat in one sitting? 4, 5?
One an hour, pretty much all day, waking hours of the day.
Yeah, forget it. 1 an hour? That's not too bad.
1 per hour. 1 scoop per hour.
That'll knock out, say you're
2,300 hours.
For about 4 months.
That's
1
terrible.
scoop of peanut butter an hour.
Yeah.
For 4 months.
He's going to be clogged up.
Oof.
That does not sound fun.
What would you do for that? For more, like if we got more YouTube subscribers, what would you eat a spoonful of?
Like for every 50 followers?
Yeah. Subscribers.
Nothing.
Why?
Why would I eat? Why don't I just deliver good content and have people want to subscribe?
It's not that easy. Sometimes you got to take it to the next level.
Sometimes you got to go to the next level. People will subscribe if they hear that you're going to eat, a spoonful of canned salmon or something for every 50 followers. I know I would.
You would eat a spoonful.
No. I would subscribe. No, I would subscribe if you were.
Followers.
I would subscribe if you did.
Mayonnaise? No, definitely not.
That is fantastic. What's this kid's name?
Eli Mielke, but his handle is Peanut Butter Eater 16.
Hope he's not allergic to peanuts.
Forever.
He knows this, right?
Full of videos of him eating peanut butter now.
God, that's fantastic.
Good news. We get another pair of tickets to give away for the Padres spring training in Peoria. Chance to go see. It's very fun. If you've never been out,
it's the best.
It is pretty enjoyable to go watch a game. You can go early in the day and check out the workouts at the Peoria Sports Complex. Our fourth caller, call now, 833-288-0973. Fourth caller is going to win a pair of tickets, plus we will enter you into our grand prize drawing at the end of the month for a Southwest Airlines gift card and a one-night hotel stay made possible by the Peoria Sports Complex. Visit PeoriaBaseball.com. So tickets now, potential hotel and airfare later in the month if you are so fortunate. But call now, 833-288-0973. All right, final segment of the day coming up next. Been a good show. It's been a good show. Let's wrap it up on a strong note. Next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
So we just told you about the breaking news. The Los Angeles Dodgers re-signing Clayton Kershaw. I'm assuming it's a one-year deal. There's no terms yet, but we'll take his...
11 years, $482 million.
Deferred. 480 deferred to 2016. And we failed to mention that the Padres had signed a lefty of their own.
Oh, good.
Back at I think it was
nice.
the last day of January.
Is it rhyme with Flake Mel?
No. Okay. His nickname is Big Fudge, though, and
Big Fudge.
I thought that was
they signed Big Fudge.
They signed Big Fudge. It's not his name. His name is Austin Davis. He's a 31-year-old left-hander. Stands 6'4", went 2-1 with a 5.47 ERA in 50 games.
With the
Red Sox in 2022.
Red Sox, nice.
Claimed off waivers by the Twins. Made 2 appearances for them. Has bounced around a little bit. Was most recently pitching he was in Astros camp in 23. Joined the AAA Sugarland Space Cowboys. Posted an 11.22 ERA in 25 innings. Then got released. Went to Indy Ball. Signed with the Lake County Dockhounds of the American Association. He went 1-3 with a 4.74 in 19 innings. He struck out 28. But he did all that as a starter, Ben. So he is a potential name the nickname is
I'm
what
putting him in at number 4 in the rotation right now.
Big
Fudge.
Big Fudge.
I mean, when you can get a guy who went 1-3 in independent ball for the Dockhounds,
you have to do it.
You've got to make that move.
Minor league deal. But
the nickname is
it's top shelf.
All world.
Yeah. But I don't
Fudge.
What's that from?
No idea.
It's just in your drops.
Fudge.
I
think that's from Who the
Fudge is Jace
Tingler.
Well, Who the Fudge is Big Fudge.
Fudgin'.
Fudgin'. Yeah. Another arm for the bullpen, maybe even as a starter.
I missed that transaction. I'm glad you're on top of these things.
Yeah, I am. Scouring the wires.
I mean, they must have seen something.
There's something there. 6'4" lefty. 31 years old.
You don't just sign guys because they've got great nicknames.
No, I wish they did. But Big Fudge, going to get another opportunity to prove himself. Where does that come from? I tried to read an article that explains the where it came from, the origin. That's the word I'm looking for. And it said something having to do with the show How I Met Your Mother. But I don't watch that show, so I have no idea what they're talking about. But remember when they have the player day where players can put anything on their back that they want to?
Yeah.
And he was with the Phillies at the time, so when he pitched in the big leagues with Big Fudge on his jersey, Big Fudge jersey. So
he's a big guy.
Yeah, 6'4", yeah.
Pretty big.
But again, I think it's something from the show. I don't really understand it, but I just thought that was a notable transaction that A.J. Preller and his scouting department had seen something in him to assign him to a minor league deal, and he'll get a look in spring training.
Fudge.
Big Fudge.
I mean, if he's getting a look, who knows? Once Ruben Niebla
gets his hands in the
starts to
fudge,
mold the fudge,
get your hands deep in there.
Turn it into a delicious dessert at some point.
Cannot wait.
All right, let's check traffic. We'll come back. Spin the topic wheel for the final couple minutes of the show today.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, for the most part, folks are doing a pretty good job of navigating our very wet roads, which you got to watch out for. A lot of closures due to flooding. In fact, gotten reports of some mud sliding into lanes of the 28th Street off-ramp, westbound King Freeway. Yeah, you might be seeing a lot of that stuff in your travels. So good idea. Give yourself plenty of extra time this morning and take it extra carefully out there, especially on those transition ramps. Have those headlights on so other drivers can see you better. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
While the wheel spins, hot take. I thought fudge-sickles were a little overrated.
No, absolutely not.
I agree with Ben on that.
I think fudge is a little overrated, but fudge-sickles
fudge is delicious. Fudge-sickles were a little icy and
delicious.
Bland for
You're
me.
out of your mind. What did you like?
Rocket Pops.
Too big.
Really?
Yeah.
With the 3 colors?
It's hard it was hard for me, at least.
Your shape. I'm flavor. I'm more a flavor guy.
I like it thin. The hand motions. The Rocket Pops are like, and the fudge you just piece of cake.
The fudgesicles were kind of rectangular, just boring.
Well, they had those too, but there were like skinnier ones too.
Do you have push pops?
I like push pops. Yeah, I like those a lot. You can nibble around the sides of the push pop. You didn't have to go all the way, push the thing all the way in. Hope nobody pulls those clips off the YouTube, to be honest with you.
Too late.
Oh, I will. Don't worry.
I do a lot of talking with my hands here, as you can tell.
My favorite Otter Pops.
Love Otter Pops.
They'd melt really quickly.
Those are the icy.
Yeah, the little plastic sleeve, and you have to kind of squeeze them up and out.
And then you just drink the liquid. Go ahead, Paulie.
The question was, what TV show or shows did you love as a kid?
Boring. Three's Company.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
As a kid, like what age of a kid are we talking about here?
It's 10.
10. What was I watching when I was 10? I mean, like sitcom wise?
Yeah, Three's Company, Cheers, all those. Great.
I mean, those were a little more grown up though.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember, like back.
This is a thought-provoking question. This is like the hardest you've ever thought.
Who's the Boss?
Who's the Boss was great. Now, what was his bit?
Growing Pains.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
They had a guy on there named Boner.
Richard Stabone. Boner Stabone.
He had a terrible ending in real life. Terrible. But while I was a kid watching that show, and they'd be like, "Mom, Boner's here," and I'd every single time that happened. So in Who's the Boss, Tony Danza.
Right, Tony Maselli.
He was a former
baseball player.
Cardinal.
Yep.
Yes. And what pitcher? Did they ever say?
I feel like he was maybe a catcher. I don't know.
Sam Malone was Mayday Malone, the Red Sox pitcher. It's interesting.
But I don't know what happened if his wife died and he was left to take care of Alyssa Milano.
Yes.
And then
Which you'd sign up for immediately.
And then he moved in and worked as a housekeeper for Angela Bauer. Angela.
Yes.
Yeah. Who was also a single mom. She had
Mona. Her mother.
And
then she had Jonathan?
I would say Jonathan, yeah.
Now, did they end up?
Yeah, in the end. Yeah,
the
final episode, they finally got together and got married, I believe.
All that sexual tension for seasons.
They kept it going the entire run of the show.
Run.
And then in the end, Tony and Angela got married. And Angela got married, and they became a family.
Paulie, what about you?
Much different shows than you guys.
We're old.
I grew up with like Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel. I would say my favorite show, there was a cartoon called Rocket Power, which is all about skateboarding, rollerblading, like kind of those extreme sports that I was really into.
Okay.
Great cartoon. And then I loved Boy Meets World
it's
on
a great
Disney
show.
and ABC.
Yeah, what's her name? Topanga.
Yeah.
Probably your first love.
I did not like Topanga.
Oh.
No,
okay.
I was
much embarrassed.
I was, Saved by the Bell. Kelly Kapowski was just elite.
Yep.
I wasn't a big Topanga fan.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of sacrilege.
Rudy, Dukes of Hazzard. I loved Dukes of Hazzard.
I did too.
Absolutely loved it.
Just was obsessed with it. Wanted to get in cars like that.
I mean, how on earth? I never understood because they were always chasing the Dukes, but they could never catch them.
No.
But they knew where they lived. I mean...
If you don't catch us, you don't get us.
It's a pretty distinctive car, honestly.
It is in a very small town of Hazard.
It's just I never understood. If you can just outrun the police, you're free.
You're free to go.
Free.
Yeah. Damn it! You got us again.
No consequences whatsoever.
Yeah, Cooter will never come knocking on your door at your home.
Cooter was the mechanic. Roscoe.
Roscoe. Sorry.
Was the sheriff, and then he worked for Boss Hogg, who was like county commissioner or something like that.
Yeah, sorry.
Corrupt county commissioner.
I wanted to say Cooter.
Then there was Enos. He was the nicer sheriff. Was not as corrupt as the rest of them. And then there was Daisy, who was Catherine Bach.
My God. No wonder we grew up sexualizing women with what they've shoved in our faces when we were little kids.
I mean, her attire became named after her.
Nuts. Go ahead, Paulie.
Spin it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
What is your favorite color?
You laugh, but these all came from your supply of questions.
I did not write these.
God. This one says, what kid stuff do you still enjoy doing as an adult?
I got to get out of here.
It's just kid stuff.
Oh, Bob, it's just kid stuff.
Does anyone want to explain the origin of that drop?
Sure, I will. I'd be happy to. Well, there was a documentary on Netflix many, many years ago. Play it again, Paulie.
Oh, Bob, it's just kid stuff.
So, if memory serves, was it Making a Murderer?
I don't think that's...
No, it was a documentary. And that guy that's speaking lived next door to a guy who was having some... it was, let's say, a bit of a dry spell at home with the missus. And he convinced that guy, this guy...
Oh, Bob, it's just kid stuff.
Right. To help him really get some relief.
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah, some relief by his hand. And so he convinced him, like, it's like a good neighborly thing to do. Like, I go to Ben's house and say, hey, can you help me out here? What do you got? Flat tire? Sure, I'll help you jack up the car.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, he goes, no, I'm not doing that. And then
Bob, it's just kid stuff.
It's just kid stuff.
Don't overreact.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal.
Now, the guy that says that is the one that was asked to do this. He was, going back in his memory.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, and the guy just told me.
Oh, Bob, it's just kid stuff.
It's just kid stuff.
Disgusting.
Absolutely repugnant. I have neighbors. I don't know that I'd knock on their door to ask them to help me with that.
As for what you actually like to do as a kid, you still like to do as an adult, though, anything?
Play baseball.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You still play baseball.
Still play.
I gave it up many years ago, but you like to still play baseball.
We are worse for it. But you. What? I don't think you didn't do a lot of fun stuff as a kid.
Sad.
You didn't ride bikes. You didn't.
It's a good point.
Build forts. Just like what? Backgammon, bridge.
I did play those things, and I still do enjoy, like Scrabble. Still enjoy that, but I wouldn't call that kid stuff. I've said it before. I used to love when we were at the old Jack Murphy Stadium, walking around the ramps. Still like going up and down the ramps at Petco Park, too.
Yeah.
Still like
the ramps
going
still
up and down ramps.
I avoid those ramps like the plague.
I like
when
them.
I go.
I like ramps.
All right. I like ramps. Paulie, about you?
Sports, basketball, baseball. Right. Yeah, still like playing baseball.
These are thought-provoking.
Again,
hopefully you guys are playing along in your car.
Lisa wants to know, do I not know how to ride a bike? And
you have no idea.
I don't know the answer to that question. I Peloton now almost every single day.
So then, yeah. Could you do that on a real bike?
I don't know. I haven't tried in a very long time. It's not like I've never ridden a bike.
Right.
I wasn't a like bike rider to get to school or anything like that, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But I've certainly gotten up and ridden around, not done any tricks or...
You didn't used to make jumps in your driveway?
No, I didn't do that. We have kids in our neighborhood, though, who are making jumps right like below our house, like digging into the hillside. And
super cool.
I don't know whether I should be that guy who yells, hey, get off of our... But I don't. I just let them. And they're kind of wrecking some of the landscaping in the community area, but I'm going, but they're kids. And they can be doing a lot worse things than
just because
creating...
you didn't do that as a kid doesn't mean that most of us also
I do. I agree. I feel like they could be doing way worse things than creating fun little bike ramps.
Yeah.
And just because the grass gets a little... worn in those areas and doesn't look that appealing, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I didn't call the HOA or anything. I just let them
announced it on the radio.
Have their fun.
If anyone's listening,
have these kids arrested.
Sorry about these kids. All right. Do we want to do one more, or do we dare?
We don't have time.
What's your favorite sandwich?
That is such a hard question.
Save it for tomorrow. We have nothing for tomorrow either.
That's good. I will need an entire day. Because I don't have like an instant answer on favorite sandwich. Why are you already off the YouTube stream?
I logged out. We have another show coming in after.
But like 2 minutes.
But we still have like 2 minutes left of our show.
I was just shutting it down.
You're gone now.
Shutting it down. I like to clear out.
Wally, you want to leave too and just leave me by myself here?
Give Craig
There's Woods.
Nice clean studio. Oh. It's on the agenda the rest of the day.
That's a good question. I'll have to sit again at the anchor desk. I believe that's my new, at least temporary responsibility as emergency 10 News anchor. If you see me tonight on Channel 10, something has gone wrong.
Something's gone terribly wrong. I'm going to
because I'm not supposed to be on, but someone needs to be standing by to be on.
I have to cut a sexy commercial apparently for Sedano Ford.
Ooh,
yeah, they want to make it
for Valentine's
sexy
Day.
and
Yeah,
lovey
romantic,
for Valentine's Day. So
sexy.
maybe we'll have some fun with that. And then I'm going to pick up my little guy, take him to Jersey Mike's for his birthday, and the little Benihana for dinner. It's beautiful, beautiful little Tuesday. Watch the Aztecs. What time's the game?
7:30 tonight. Fox Sports 1.
Catch the first half.
Is the place to find Aztecs and Air Force tonight.
All right.
All right, that is it for us. Andy and Elston program coming up next. Thanks again to Ruben Niebla, who joined us earlier in the show today.
Why didn't we just replay that?
That would have been a good call. For executive producer and imaging director Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, number 16 morning show in the country, out on 97.3 The Fan.